What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Bare Minimum Guys with 4-Star Chicago Sports. I am Brandon. That's Dustin. Dustin, how you doing, man? How's work?
I don't want to talk about work. I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
You're just sick. I don't care about how work was. You're just sick, good or bad.
Then don't fucking ask if you don't care. How about that, Brandon?
Guys,
we're off to a swimming start. Let's go.
Yeah, maybe got a person in here. There we go. NFL Combine started today, guys. A little bit of news there. Some risers, some fallers. Who stood out? Who impressed? The Bears also getting a lot of inquiries about trades, guys. A lot of players that the Bears are considering moving. Is from what it sounds like.
A lot of players.
Ryan Poles at least taking those phone calls, and then during the Combine today, had multiple conversations inquiring players on the roster. And then we want to talk about Ian Cunningham, guys. The Bears did file some sort of grievance with the NFL about why they didn't receive their compensatory picks. We're going to dive into that a little bit right after this.
Windy City banners rocking 4 stars aligned. Dynasty dreams rise, Bulls in their prime. Cubs curse shattered, the victory divine. Fields be running, clock ticking on my timeline. Shot down heroes, legends never fade. Black Hawks flying, cutting ice with the blade. White Sox diamonds, the South Side parade. 4 stars shine bright, legacies they made. Mike with the crown, air rain, no dispute. Sweetness in the backfield, Walter in pursuit. Bear down Sunday's midfield, battles cute. Chicago's.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks again, guys, for joining the Bare Minimum. This late night hour, me and Dustin are here with you for at least the next probably hour and a half.
What up, J2K?
4-Star Chicago Sports. J2K, what's going on, brother? And then Shorty was texting me. Shorty was texting me earlier, so hopefully he pops.
They were having a fire show tonight over on BCC.
I did do the petition, Shorty, for what it's worth. I did the Stay in Chicago petition for you. But
so, are you a member of the China Communist Party now?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Shorty just sent me a scam. Oh, I just got scammed. Oh, it sounds like the Bears are going to be in Arlington Heights like we all knew they were, which is why I never wanted to talk about it in the first place.
No, it's still up in the air. We're still going to talk about it.
Yeah, what's going on, J2K? Thanks for joining us. Dustin, let's start with the Bears stuff. I know people probably want to hear about the Combine. J2K's all over it. People want to hear about the Combine. We're going to talk about the Combine.
It's a big day at the Combine for the Bears. These positions in particular are very
important. Poles
Chicago Bears.
Been the most interested.
I mean, I just to kind of the linebacking group is even better than what I thought, and it's a very deep group, man. And they showed out today, and the defensive line and defensive edge, the tackles and the edge. It was a fun day. And for a Bears fan, I think you're seeing a lot of good options there, some risers and fallers.
Yeah, I mean, in regards to linebackers, I think some guys might have just climbed out of the Bears' range, but
not anybody that wasn't already out of their range.
Let's talk first about the guys who were actually reported without rumor. So Tyson Bagent, we'll start there. This is surprising me a little bit, man. I mean, I know there's some teams that think he could be, potentially a starter in the NFL, but there's 3 teams specifically that have been reported that have had conversations with Ryan Poles. One of them is strictly rumor. I tried to find every possible source that I could. That's the New York Jets. New York Jets are apparently a team that's interested in Tyson Bagent. The only connection I can really see there is that the New York Jets head coach is the former defensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. There's no real connection there, but maybe he's somebody who's spoken with Bagent prior to a game, after a game. I don't know. The Jets are obviously in desperate need of a quarterback, and they're pretty infamous for making really bad decisions. Wouldn't surprise me if the Jets are inquiring about Tyson Bagent being their starting quarterback.
Brandon, I don't think you got to connect a lot of dots in the NFL right now. I
don't like saying shit that doesn't have any.
Well, no, the thing with this quarterback market this offseason is that it's shitty. Tyson Bagent is showing himself.
Malik Willis is the hottest commodity.
Tyson Bagent has shown himself in spot starts to be, good enough, and maybe there's some potential there, right? And then with Ben Johnson potentially unlocking some of that potential in these practices, the fact that the Bears went and locked him up, showing to be a smart move, because it looks like you could pull some draft capital out of a quarterback needy team when there's one really good quarterback in the draft, really that people are okay with, they're sure on, and then like you said, Malik Willis is going to get paid 20 to 25 million. I'm not fucking doing that. Are you nuts? So it's just
knew
really
that was coming too, man.
It's not even about the Tyson Bagent's ability or another team, having an inside track on Tyson Bagent. It's just the fact that there's some teams that need quarterbacks and there's not any real good options. So why not, if you're going to do a bridge thing, why not do it on a cheap $4.5 million a year deal that's going through 2027, at which point, next year you can take your stab at the quarterback, but you're decent enough this year to kind of keep an offense moving, hopefully, with Tyson Bagent. I would much rather spend a second or a third round pick on Tyson Bagent if I was a quarterback needy team than going out and jumping in the fucking free agent market. At least I'm not paying Daniel Jones. I'm not paying Malik Willis, these guys $25 million a year, and these quarterbacks in the draft, they're just not it. That's what it comes down to me.
Is Mac Jones a free agent?
Mac Jones would need to be traded. The Niners still have him under contract, so the Niners are going to try to do the same thing the Bears might try to do here with Tyson Bagent. And Brandon, from my perspective, it makes total sense to capitalize on this perceived value just based on the dearth of options for these quarterback needed teams.
Absolutely.
If you can get a second round pick or a third round pick for Tyson Bagent, you do that in a second. You just do it. And I mean, we're all starting to like Tyson Bagent more. He's endearing himself to us, and like he seems to fit with Ben Johnson really well. He's a good backup to have, but you can go get another backup. The Niners pulled Mac Jones out of the dumpster, and they might be able to trade for a third round pick. Good teams can do this shit. Capitalize on it right now.
Well, and the Bears have neglected this position before. It is an important one, but I do believe now that you have Ben Johnson, the story's a little different on the court, the depth at quarterback, man. I did like Austin Reed. I thought he played really well when he had to play in the preseason, man. I would be completely content with that just being your backup moving forward, especially since he actually was with Ben Johnson for a single off season,
and especially since Caleb doesn't miss games.
Well, that's the reason you try to max on this value, right? Dustin, it's like you have your starting quarterback, and that's
and I mean, obviously, injury can happen, Brandon, but the reality is Tyson Bagent is not worth. Like, you hear second round pick, you hear third round pick. It's all speculation, but like Tyson Bagent ain't really worth that in a fair market. He's just not. Like, this is a supply and demand thing. And if you're the Bears and that opportunity presents itself, I just think you got to take advantage of it. Because like you said, Ben Johnson, how responsible is he for the amount of interest that Tyson Bagent might get right now? Just the fact that Ben Johnson can coach these guys up and have them prepared, and he runs a good offense where a backup quarterback could hit the first read pretty easily and continue to move the ball, So, I mean, like, you can potentially pull somebody else out of free agency for dirt cheap and have a decent backup as well as the options that you already have. J2K says he thinks Austin Reed is going to the UFL. Be a smart move for him.
Yeah, I think Ben Johnson, he said we're going to structure this offense around Caleb Williams. I would imagine if Caleb suffered an injury, Ben Johnson would do some form of layman's terms of that for whatever backup quarterback it is he has. He's a guy who knows what a guy's strengths and weaknesses are. He'll design up, even week by week, he'll design an offense around a quarterback that has to fill in for Caleb if need be, which, by the way, guys, knock on fucking wood.
Let me play devil's advocate to the other side of this real quick. And also let me say to the chat, I mean, we got 20 people in here, but only a couple people sending comments. Don't be shy. If you got something you want to talk about.
It's been doing a weird thing though.
It hasn't been loading up. But some of these have been coming through. Either way, I'm just saying, if you're in here and you got something you want to talk about, please feel free. No judgment. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. The other side of that, Brandon, you just brought up, it's centered around Caleb Williams. Tyson Bagent does have the legs to kind of, fit into that role if he as the backup. He is kind of an ideal backup for this offense and for Caleb Williams because he can make things happen with his legs. He can make plays off schedule if he needs to, but he can also work within the system.
Smart kid.
Yeah. He's very intellectual in terms of the game. Maybe he doesn't have the greatest arm. We know that. Like, he's not like pushing it downfield a lot, which is a big part of this offense and what we saw in this first year. So how good of a fit is he? Was this contract signed by the Bears do they extend Bagent kind of seeing this coming going into this offseason with these needs coming up and just not being a lot of options? And do you just kind of capitalize on that? Or do you say, hey, we're pretty content with Tyson Bagent in this role. He's cheap for us as well. So why would we not just hold on to him? I think a team's got to really hit him with a good offer, of an offer they can't refuse in order for them to move off of him, because I really do think the Bears like him and they feel confident in him in that role. So that's worth something, Brandon. Like you said, it's an important position, the backup quarterback, and having that confidence is hugely important. Tyson Bagent has that from the Chicago Bears management and coaching staff. He does. Yeah, hit those likes, John S.
And like you said,
tell him what's up.
In a very limited sample size, he only played 4 starts in the NFL, but he looked like a guy who could maybe be molded into a game manager, possibly. But like you said, the arm talent's not there. It's not.
He showed out in this preseason, Brandon. He showed out in this preseason.
Right? Yeah, and he's smart. He showed that he makes good decisions and he can process quickly. His arm is lacking a lot. But guys, the one that's real big.
Real quick, Brandon, just to clarify one more time. If someone offers you a 3rd round pick for Tyson Bagent this offseason here, do you take it?
Yeah.
What about a 4th? What's the line? Is it that? Is that it? Did I just find it?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So 4th is a no, 3rd is a yes. Well, 2nd is a fuck yes.
With Ryan Poles, I don't know, man. The 3rd round pick is even Ryan Poles hasn't done well with the 3rd round picks, but now you're getting a Torrey Taylor, Ruben Hippolyte area. I don't know. I value
that way.
I value Bagent more than Ryan Poles' history in the 4th round. I would say that. The players that we've acquired there.
So then it's a 3rd. If you get a 3rd, you're moving
I
off
would
of
like
Bagent.
a day 2 pick, especially if there's a team who's going to use this kid as their starting, if he's going to start at quarterback, like the Jets, yeah. I want a day 2
get a 2nd round pick from
get
a 2nd round.
I want a day 2 pick. Yeah, that's your starter, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess compensate. You know what I mean? But another team that this is reported by Chicago media outlet, guys. I'm going to almost guarantee this is the Windy City Gridiron, because they seem to be in the middle of all these conversations that Ryan Poles is having with other teams at the combine. The Atlanta Falcons have inquired, I think, more than once now about it. The obvious connection here, guys, is Ian Cunningham, the former assistant general manager, just went to this team, and Matt Ryan stated he will be in charge of this free agency and this offseason in general. So I do think that there's some conversation between Cunningham and Poles regarding Bagent. I don't know that Cunningham is in love with Michael Penix. He was just graded, and they just did 2024. ESPN just did the 2024.
Falcons don't make sense, man.
The 2024 draft class. Michael Penix, by all 4 people, was graded the worst, under JJ McCarthy.
By all 4, by what people?
The panelists. They had Danny Parkins, those guys, the 4 guys on Nick Wright, the 4 guys on that show. Had the great. Well, these guys do this for a living, man. They each had to grade the 4 quarterbacks from 2024 class. McCarthy beat Penix.
Well, that's dumb. I was gonna say that's dumb. Penix is clearly better than JJ.
I think so too.
Penix is clearly better.
But I think me and you, Dustin, see McCarthy in a different light than a lot of NFL evaluators.
In the right light, we see him in the right light.
Sucks.
Perfect lighting. We see JJ. This whole time
there's people that think he's a down the road star or future star at some point in this league. I still don't see it, man. The guy, I don't see any of it. I don't see any of it. I don't, but I don't want to go down that fucking rabbit hole. So the Falcons is and then the last one that was actually reported by the Athletic. So
the Cardinals.
They very much did call.
The Cardinals are pissed off at Murray. They want to move off of him. Bagent would make sense as a gap guy. They got their new offensive coordinator as head coach and Mike LaFleur. There's a lot of things that make sense there for the Cardinals. And yeah, they can hold off this year in terms of drafting a quarterback if they were to get somebody like Bagent and just have that bridge and not spend a lot of money, like I said, on a lot of unproven guys. The other thing that just came out today, man, Anthony Richardson was granted. It's always funny when they say granted permission to seek a trade. Like the Bears granted Tremaine Edmunds permission to seek a trade. That's cool, but who's gonna take him on? Who's gonna take on?
We're gonna dive into that,
right? So Anthony Richardson is looking for a new team as well. So there's some intriguing options, I guess. Nothing nothing that you would feel confident in. So again, Bagent just kind of stands out because of that, because of the lack of real concrete options at the quarterback position. And there's a lot of teams that are going to have needs, man. So the Cardinals make a lot of sense, honestly. They do. And I think what did J2K say here? He said, I heard the Cardinals called and offered a fourth that could turn into a third. If it don't turn into a third, I'm not doing it. I think we just decided that line is between the third and the fourth. If I can get a third round pick, I'll do it. Because I just listen, I like Bagent, and he's grown on me. I did not like him at all.
Me too,
he showed a lot in this past preseason, man. He did. He can work within this offense. But if you're not going to use him, if Caleb's going to start every game, and you can get a third round pick out of a guy that I don't think has really that good of arm talent. I think he's a football player. He knows how to play the game, but I just don't think he's got the arm talent. So if you can get something like that for Tyson Bagent, I'd do it. Fourth round pick, though, I'm not there for that.
Yeah, the Cardinals obviously want to flip this Murray contract, and I mean, if you were able to, get some cap out of that guy and turn it into a $4 million or $9 million contract, whatever it is that Bagent's on, that'd be huge for them, man, in their future, possibly with a new head coach rebuilding their team. But I agree with you, man. I had a lot of shit to talk about Tyson Bagent, especially after the 4 starts. He played admirably.
What did he have? 3 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in those starts.
For a guy who was an undrafted free agent rookie, a Division II player, I was impressed with the way he handled himself in managing a football game. But it was all dink and dunk, guys. I do agree, though, that after that preseason, I mean, he showed out. He showed out.
He did. And I mean, it's preseason, but
he was playing behind a shit line, and he was able to get the ball out there and get out of the pocket. And I like the kid's attitude, man. He's defied the odds at every level. He's just like the guy. He's obviously a tough kid. He's a tough kid.
He puts in the work. He puts in the work. I mean, listen, I won't be upset if Tyson Bagent is still on this team as the backup quarterback, but I would be upset if the Bears got offered a third round pick and didn't move on it.
Yeah, I agree with
you. But
I
think in this kind of market, you should be able to push for a second. And I'll say this, man, we're going to talk about multiple trade possibilities or whatever with the Bears. The Bears have to get a lot of shit done in terms of their cap. They have to move off of some money, and hopefully they can get some assets in return. But this is Poles' time here, man. He makes shit happen at the combine. He's talking like he's always trying to make a move, make a deal at the combine when they're at St. Elmo's or whatever. Like this guy, he's working right now. And I fully expect that he's going to put some kind of trade into place in this week. I really do expect that.
And Bagent doesn't make a big impact on your cap, but like Dustin said, guys, if you're talking about
get 2 picks back,
that is huge. That is huge. If a guy who's going to sit on your bench all season long can turn into a player who's going to make an impact on your football team next year.
A starting safety potentially?
Just do that.
Guys. A starting 3-tech or a rotational defensive end.
We have love for Bagent now. I used to be a hater. I have love for Bagent now, so this is not a get rid of Bagent kind of, I don't want Bagent as a backup thing. I would love to have Bagent as a backup if nothing works out. But if you can...
I just had a flashback to the show we had about Tyson Bagent.
Yeah, where I snapped on that other... If you can flip Tyson Bagent into a starting player on your 2026 roster, I mean that you fucking do that. There's no and Poles knows that.
But do you have that same feeling, Brandon, that Poles is working behind scenes right now?
Oh yeah, no,
he's going to get a deal in place in this combine.
We're going to talk about 3 players that are potentially.
Shorty's still traded. Ranting, really? Are y'all still on, Foster? Damn, y'all been going for a while. How do you replace Bagent? That's a good question. I mean, J2K, I think there's options in free agency. Again, my whole thought process behind that would be how much does it matter? Because what can Ben Johnson get out of someone, and also how much is that backup going to play? Caleb doesn't take hits. Caleb is very elusive in the pocket. It's not like he's getting blindsided. When he runs, he doesn't really get hit. I mean, he's smart. And he's been completely durable. Now, hasn't missed a game in his first 2 years. And I mean, knock on wood. But I just don't know how important that position is when you have that guy. And why not try to load up to attack some other areas that are of a much bigger need? I haven't looked into all the options for a backup quarterback, but I mean,
I think it would be
there's good ones
2 ways
for a backup spot.
Ben would probably call somebody who was on his roster.
You don't draft one.
Probably on his roster in Detroit, I'm gonna dispute you there. This is what I was gonna say. I like the idea of Ben Johnson drafting his very first quarterback, even if it's a late round dude. I don't care. I'd like to see Ben. I want to see who Ben
This
Johnson might show
draft
interest
sucks
in.
for quarterbacks. This
Oh,
draft
yeah,
sucks for
yes,
quarterbacks, and
but
you need picks. You need your
Tyson
picks to
Bagent
go
wasn't
towards
on a
other
list of
positions
good
usually.
quarterbacks when the draft was approaching.
Well, he was
man.
undrafted.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I would like to see Ben Johnson do something. I wouldn't mind Ben Johnson identifying a talent at quarterback, the position. This guy is known for making these, but he knows what he likes. Maybe there's somebody that's under the radar that Ben thinks that kid could be molded into a potential good a backup. You're just talking about a backup.
Backup, yeah. I mean, we just stated the importance of it. There is an importance to it, but I guess my ultimate answer, J2K, to that question would be: we just said Tyson Bagent was undrafted.
If after Hendon Hooker, the backup,
if after 3 years of Tyson Bagent being on your roster after being undrafted, you can turn that undrafted player into a third round pick, that you're coming out way on top in terms of
potential starter
the
on
assets.
Your
I mean, I think you just do it and then figure it out.
Yeah, and I guess I would honestly like to see. I would want to know that, like, if Ben Johnson identified a quarterback in the draft that he liked, or a guy even undrafted that he liked, I would like to see. I want to know that name. I want to know who Ben would be looking at and a potential.
What do you think Anthony Richardson's going to get traded for?
I think I wanted to. I forgot. I want to come out and say when he is the worst first round drafted quarterback in the history of the NFL.
You're forgetting about Jamarcus Russell?
No, I'm not.
He's better. Jamarcus Russell was drafted number 1 overall.
Anthony Richardson had multiple
Calvin
games.
Johnson.
Anthony Richardson had more than one game with less than 5 completions.
Let me ask you this: if you could trade one of your two 6th round picks for Anthony Richardson as the Chicago Bears for him to be your backup quarterback, would you do it?
No.
No? I might. I'd think about it. There's still something there.
Justin Fields is better than Anthony Richardson as far as I'm concerned. Anthony Richardson provides nothing.
Literally. Yeah, but Justin Fields just got paid what, like $45 million on that contract. Like
Anthony Richardson
ain't gonna cost you that.
Big arm. He could throw the ball far. Doesn't matter though, guys. It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, Trey Lance traded for a 5th. I think Richardson would get similar, so a 5th round pick. I mean, then what if you could do it for a 6th, J2K? Would you be okay? Say we traded Bagent for a 3rd, and you could trade a 6th round, one of your 2 6th round picks for Anthony Richardson. Would you do it?
I'd rather than identify somebody in a draft or even after a draft. I really would. That guy sucks, man.
Yeah, he does. He has no accuracy at all. Yes,
no, and he threw
the least accurate quarterback.
353 attempts in his college career, guys. He threw like 3 football games worth of passes in his fucking career. There's nothing good about this guy. There's nothing good about this guy. He can run. There's outside of that. I just don't. There's nothing there.
Let's get into some of these other trades.
I think he's got some.
Maybe he's more focused on his rap videos that he's making.
Yeah, I think he's not a very bright kid, man. Next guy, guys.
Which aren't good, by the way.
Reported, obviously, this week, the Bears allowed, like Dustin said, we're allowing Tremaine Edmunds to seek a trade for whatever that's worth, guys.
That usually happens before a guy gets cut.
Yes, and every team who might inquire about a trade is very
aware. Gonna know that. Yeah.
So I did some homework into the possible of a Tremaine Edmunds trade, and there is some reasoning behind why a team might inquire about him. Right now, Tampa Bay is kind of they're in a standstill. They have to wait for Lavonte David to make this choice, and that might kind of put them in a situation they don't want to be in. So Lavonte David is now telling the Buccaneers he's going to come to a decision soon on whether or not he wants to continue to play football. As long as they think there's hope he might come back, they might not be spending too much attention on addressing this position. They might find themselves with their pants down. That is one scenario that said Tremaine Edmunds might possibly be traded.
But how long does that take to play out? Because you got to make a decision on this Edmunds thing soon. Soon if you're the Chicago Bears.
Well, yeah, and
they're going to cut him.
What I read today is David said he's going to provide them an answer very soon, very shortly.
That's nice of him. That's nice.
But Yeah, it is. He's actually keeping his team in the loop, unlike an Aaron Rodgers type player who just holds you by the fucking balls the entire offseason. But yeah, it's
Gently? Does he hold them gently or
probably not.
tight grip?
I
Tight
don't
grip.
know. Like it depends. Is he on peyote? I don't know. But it sounds like, guys, that's a possible destination if the Buccaneers find themselves in a hole because David sticks it to him. I think Levante David's going to come back and play. He played at a pretty high level last year. I don't see him retiring yet. Another guy who's tied to Tremaine Edmunds for whatever reason, I'm not sure what the connection is here. Brian Flores is a player that's voiced his like for Tremaine Edmunds. He really likes
Yeah,
Tremaine
that's not
Edmunds.
happening.
I
He's
don't know
not
that
going to
I don't know
Minnesota in a
that
trade.
I don't know that after last season anybody really likes Tremaine Edmunds. I'd find it hard to believe.
Brandon Edmunds played really well when he was healthy to start the season. He did. He was atop the league in interceptions at the linebacker position. I mean, the tackles were happening downfield, which was a problem. You know, they weren't happening at the line of scrimmage. He was racking up tackles. He was playing better than he had as a Chicago Bear. In my opinion, he was playing better than he had as a Chicago Bear his entire career.
And he does he takes the ball
So,
at a high rate from that
but
position.
the issue with Edmonds in terms of trading for him is the contract. Right?
Yeah, you're taking money.
Nobody's going to take that off. That's not going to happen. I don't see a trade, happening. I don't see that coming into play. I think the Bears are going to end up cutting them. But shit, if you can get a 5th or 6th round pick for Tremaine Edmunds and get off that money that way, that would be amazing.
The value was placed. They said likely a 7th rounder, which again, Ryan, if you can do that, polls, you fucking do it. You know what I mean? You do it.
You're gaining something, and you're
This
still
is
coming
intelligent
off the money,
by polls. He's gonna see if anybody wants to make a call before he decides because this guy is getting cut. Guys, we talked about this on this show a lot. He's getting cut. The other two teams, Dustin, that were rumored, no validity behind it. The Steelers and the Broncos. Steelers are apparently another team who's just in desperate need of depth.
Do the Steelers still have his brother on their team?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Terrell Edmunds, huh?
Because that would be the connection there. And that's probably why the Steelers are listed as one of the rumored teams. And the last team, guys, a team that's is a desperate need for skill at the position is the Denver Broncos. I don't know. I thought their linebacking core played fairly well over the last 2 years, considering they're the number one defense in the NFL. But man, I think the Texans actually finished first this year. But a team that they said just needs talent at the position. Again, I don't know where teams are ranking Tremaine Edmunds in regards to talented linebackers and that are available this offseason. We know the result here, guys. He likely won't get any return at all. If so, it's going to be a 7th round pick because you're taking on a big deal, and the guy's going to get cut anyways. He's going to get cut. So I do see Edmunds making it to the cut block before the trade block, Dustin. Right?
Yeah, I would trade him if I could for whatever I could get. I'd trade him for a washing machine.
I think he's on the chop block. I think NFL teams are very aware of this guy.
It's interesting that J2K continues to say that he's a great value. I mean, if that's the case, then where's the value to the Bears? The Bears are in kind of cap hell right now, so they have to move off that money. It just makes too much sense.
He's got great value and
caps. Does anyone see a world where Edmunds remains on this Bears team? I don't think you want to restructure him. You don't want to push money down the road with him. I just don't see it. I don't see it working for the Bears and Edmunds.
No, and this is a really
something's happening this offseason.
Between the draft and free agency, this is the position I like the most.
Dude, the draft is fucking loaded with awesome linebackers.
It's got some really quality players.
It does.
Starters.
You're right. But they're gonna command a lot of money. But like, would you rather pay Leo Chenal $10-11 million a year? I would too.
Yes,
over
absolutely. I think you could
17 or whatever it is for
this position for half the cost. You really could. And you could still get a quality. This free agency's got some starters at this position, guys. We talked about Devin Bush. We talked about Devin White. We've talked about Leo Chenal. You got some pretty quality players at this position here that you can, some inside linebackers in free agency that you could pay less and still retain a starting player at this position. And then, like Dustin says, the draft is loaded with these guys too. I do see Edmunds getting cut. J2K. I don't know. I don't know that there's. Yeah, Seattle is the most. I think they have the Titans and Tennessee Titans and the Seattle Seahawks, I believe, have the biggest caps. I have to look at the list again, but I'm pretty sure that was 1 and 2 going in this offseason. maybe you're right, Dustin. Maybe you're right, J2K. Maybe there's some teams that don't want this guy to be available to everyone else in the league. That would be what it takes, right, Dustin?
That would be ideal because the
You would have
Bears
to
can't
think.
afford to pay him for what he's giving them. So
The only thing that's going to make this happen is if there's a team that wants him that doesn't want him to be available to the rest of the league. And I don't know that that's the case, guys. Now, the last player on our trade report here, Dustin, popped up today. I sent you the text. This one
we're not going to
surprised.
talk about trading DJ Moore again.
We can.
We've talked about it a lot.
Yeah,
I
we
think
can.
I think something's happening there, but yeah, go ahead.
I actually, yes, that's because I think the Crosby thing's moving in a more likely direction, man. I really do. But yeah, let's talk about DJ. But after the name, because this guy wanted it, this one threw me off, man. The Bears have for sure, not rumored, received multiple calls and had multiple conversations at the combine about 3-tech Gervon Dexter. This one surprised me a little bit because on a show just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about how nobody's going to call regarding Gervon Dexter. There is a couple of teams so the Jacksonville Jaguars have inquired about Gervon Dexter.
That'd be interesting.
They're in need of interior defensive line depth. So I don't know that they're out there throwing out, but it was rumored that Dexter's return could be a day 2 pick, which
I mean, if you
some
can come
value here at the pass rush, clearly, because the guy cannot defend the run. So there's some teams that just want some interior pass rush. They think maybe he's a rotational piece. He can get after the quarterback a little bit. It sounds like I don't know.
Gervon Dexter is better than you give him credit for, Brad.
Well, he's a terrible run defender. He's a liability. That's what I think.
But he's better than you give him credit for. He does have some value, I think, in the league for the skill sets that he does have and the strength, that he had, the play strength he has, and the speed he plays with his size. I mean, those are all kind of tantalizing things. But it comes down to, for the Bears, I think, getting ahead of this cap stuff. Like, are you going to extend Gervon Dexter? Is that in the cards? Do you want to see another year from him? And if he plays really well and puts up big numbers, are you going to pay him the $20 million a year it's going to take to keep him? I don't know.
And on his projection was, and I texted you guys this, I thought it was on the low side. His projection was 15 to 16 million a year. I think Dexter's agent's going to try to get more than that because of the sack numbers. The sack numbers are there. He said 13.5 sacks in the last 2 seasons. And that dictates your contract, guys.
It's a big part of it for sure. I mean, Dexter is, I think he's a good player. I do. I think he does have value in the league. He has value to the Bears. I don't know. That would be crazy. And like J2K is saying here, right? It's like, it's not so much about, would they come off of Dexter? It's like, how much change is going to happen along this defense in this one offseason? Are we going to see this defensive line and these linebackers completely transformed in the same mold that we saw this offensive line last offseason? Are the Bears approaching it like that? Because Dennis Allen took over a defense that wasn't his, that was not made in his image, that was not, he didn't have a say in the players that were brought in, up until the point that he got here. And there was only so much you could do then. So how much change and overhaul are we going to see on this defense? And if Dexter is a part of that, that is kind of wild, J2K. I agree, because I still think there's a lot of potential there. I think this really comes down to the cap thing. I mean, I feel like Dexter could fit in any defense in that rotational role, but does he want to be paid like a rotational player? I highly doubt that.
Yeah, and there was an article written today. I forget who it was. It was an NFL Network writer talking about how the Bears are clearly trying to transition from the Eberflus-built defense to whatever Dennis Allen has.
What's up, True?
The defense that Dennis Allen wants to put together is now being pretty reported very different from what it looks like today, guys. So there's going to be some overhaul here. I'm not sure which positions and at how much they can afford. It sounds like the Bears are going to try to kind of flip this thing on its head. That's what
they have to. They got to rebuild this entire linebacking core in my mind. I don't think you can count on Edwards. I don't think you can count on Edmunds. I don't know what Hippolyte is. Sewell is coming off the injury as well as Edwards. And Sewell isn't that great of a player through the draft and free agency. and whether or not they re-sign Draymond Jackson, if he gets priced out of their market, like they're going to have to do a lot of rebuilding along that linebacking core, and then you gotta kind of really add some mean motherfuckers to this defensive line that can stop the run. There's a lot that needs to get done in this offseason for this Bears defense, and I don't know. Do you think trading Dexter is moving towards that, towards improving this defensive line?
Yeah, I think that would be the only thing that it signifies, because Dexter has been productive in the role that he serves best, which is sacks. And I don't think that he's really been a big. I think the sacks have kind of fallen into Dexter's lap. I'm gonna be honest, but I don't think that Dexter's a player that Dennis Allen's in love with. I don't think that's the guy he wants to be anchoring the center of the middle of his defensive line. He's not the answer. Dennis Allen has to know that. And like you said, Dustin, you got to pay this guy. You got to pay him. So
I think that's the biggest thing.
Is Dennis
Brandon
Allen telling Ryan Poles? No.
Yeah, no, we're going to need to allocate, our cap money into some different spaces here. We're going to get backed into a corner with Dexter. Let's get ahead of it now.
Yep.
Do you accept a 3rd round pick to move off of Dexter?
Yes, I do.
Yes,
I do. And I like
I'd
the
have to
idea
think
of an
about
overhaul,
that.
man. I do. I like the idea of an overhaul. I like Sweat and Booker remaining in place. The rest of them, I said this in a show a couple weeks ago, guys. Every single one of these guys is a replacement level player to me, besides Booker. And I only say Sweat because Sweat's just making so much fucking money. But I like Sweat. He's a good.
Well,
player.
his contract will come up soon where you can get out of it. But I mean, as J2K is saying right now, like Dexter is in a contract year. Dexter is going to have to play his ass off for whatever team he is playing for this upcoming season in order to get the money that you're saying his agent is going to want to push for. He's going to have to replicate those sack numbers, show an improvement in the run game, show an improvement in his get off. There's a lot of things about Dexter's game that still bother me. We've talked about that enough. And it would be a good value for a team to get him, though, with the things that he does well. And J2K is saying kind of what I'm thinking. Like, I don't know if I come off of him for a 3rd, unless I'm just thinking about the money, as we talked about. But a 2nd round pick, fuck yes, I'll do that in a heartbeat. And then I'll take other shots at it to match the personnel with the defensive coordinator that you've hired and that you're entrusting to, really flip around this defense.
And Windy City Gridiron said that he is right now, his value is a day 2 pick. That's what it's got it listed at. I don't know if that's something they just computed through AI. It sounds like, though, the Bears wouldn't ask for anything less than a 2nd or a 3rd round pick, Dustin. And
you shouldn't take anything less than that.
And the fact that teams are inquiring, I'll say this: you take those phone calls. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, of course.
And maybe
it shows that Dexter does have value in the league.
That's what I was going to say. There are teams that are calling about Javon Dexter versus a guy like Tremaine Edmunds. Dexter, Brian Poles didn't publicize Dexter as a trade piece. He didn't go out there and say, we're letting Dexter look. It's like, no, teams are just calling him.
Let's paint. My brother's checking in. What up, Nick?
What's
it's
going
good
on,
to see
Nick?
you. It's been a while, man. He says, unless you get a day 2 pick, a Dexter trade doesn't make sense to me. He is cheap.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I would rather have to make a decision next offseason if he plays well. But let me just paint this scenario. It's his contract year. He comes out and he has more of the same. It's the same type of season he had last year and the year before that. You're not really seeing any improvement, but now you wasted your opportunity to get a draft pick potentially out of him, right?
Pick, maybe
yeah. Or no, you're not going to be able to trade him at all because he's going to be a fucking free agent. I mean, like we're saying, this is his last year. You're either picking up I think there's a 5th year option in the 2nd round, right? So I mean, you're either doing that or no, there's not. It's only in the 1st round. So you got to re-sign this guy. You got to just re-sign him, and then now you're talking about re-signing a guy that hasn't shown anything besides the up and down play.
Not correcting the mistakes.
Right, and not fixing the leverage, not fixing the get off, and just getting it basically on the strength of his physicality, but he never improves that technique and really takes it to that next level. That now you lost your opportunity to get the pick, and then you're gonna have to re-sign him for $15 million a year. That's gonna be the low end, Brandon. Like if he just stays the same, you're talking about that $15 million a year range.
That's what,
so you've painted yourself in that corner, either re-signing him and giving him this money that we don't know that he's even earned yet, or you're letting him go and you miss the opportunity to get a potential pick from him when teams are interested. because he is cheap.
And you'd like to believe our general manager is ahead of these things, and he sat Dennis Allen down and thought, like, is this guy a part of your future, man? Because I have to pay him.
Yeah.
Is he a part of your future? And I don't know that Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen didn't have a whole lot of great things to say about Gervon Dexter when he was made the defensive coordinator of this team. Like, he talked about a lot of players
I
on
don't
this
know
roster.
that matters, but
He talked about Dominique Robinson. He talked about a lot of players on this roster. He didn't say much about Gervon Dexter.
Nick, we're in agreement here. If it's anything less than a third round pick, it's not even worth entertaining. We're in agreement there for sure.
And it's not like this is a position the Bears are real deep at.
Well, and it's not like, it's not like they're desperate to get rid of him. They're not calling teams trying to move him. This is the best position to be in.
Yes, the Bears never mentioned Dexter's name in regards to trades. Yeah. They're just getting phone calls. Another team that I think has inquired, this is being kind of underreported, I believe. The Raiders hired Travis Smith as their defensive line coach. That was the guy who was there when Dexter was drafted. He's a guy who I know likes Gervon Dexter. This is a person who I believe the Raiders are one of the teams that have called the Bears and inquired about.
And the Raiders have a real need at the defensive tackle position.
I want to say the Jaguars, by the way, I didn't know this. The Jaguars are basically down to Armstead.
And he's old.
Desperate need of some.
And they got really good defensive ends down there in Jacksonville. Yeah. A defensive tackle that can hold up their end would mean. That's why I said that would be interesting when you brought up
a pass rusher, like you said, with those two ends.
Yeah, that could be kind of deadly. So I mean that would be interesting, and it could be worth it to a team like Jacksonville. It could. I don't know. I think that the Raiders clearly need help at the defensive tackle spot. Again, second round pick. I definitely entertain it. Third round pick, I would think about it for sure.
The last team that
I like Dexter though,
and this was officially reported. This is a conversation Ryan Poles did have at the combine regarding Gervon Dexter. The Cardinals asked Ryan Poles about Gervon Dexter, which is strange because I think didn't they take a 3-tech in the first round last year?
Well, yeah, they just took. Why am I blanking on his name?
Yeah, me too. I can't.
The guy out of Mississippi.
J2K. I know you're in there, Nick. I know you know.
He was injured, but he's a damn good.
He was having a hell of a year before he was
what the fuck possibly the best tackle in the draft.
I think he was. I think he was.
Yeah. I mean, it's late, and this was last year, so somebody will throw it out there. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. I really love the Cardinals draft. Yeah, Walter Nolan. There you go, Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. There you go.
So they did just draft him. He did suffer a bad injury too, not just a minor injury. He suffered a bad injury. But the Cardinals approached Ryan Poles at the combine regarding Gervon Dexter, so they have shown some actual reported interest in him as well.
I think
it sounds like teams see value in Gervon Dexter.
But maybe teams see value in Dexter in like other roles along the defensive line too.
Yeah, going outside, which is something we suggested.
Or putting them at nose tackle. Potentially,
I mean, played a lot of nose tackle for the Bears in the final season.
Yeah. If you're putting them exclusively there next to Walter Nolan, if you're the Cardinals, I guess that could make sense too. You got two really physically dominant tackles there. That'd be interesting as well.
So I guess I know this is a guy we had a lot of hope for. We thought might eventually turn into a really impact 3 technique. If you're offered a day 2 pick, are you moving off a guy you have to pay?
I mean, I think it's more likely that you get more of the same out of Dexter than he's going to take this leap.
Yeah, because it's the same old story. It's the same.
Yeah, it's been the same. And there was a lot of
draft cons.
There was a lot, and I mean, Tremaine Edmunds, the same thing. Like you're just waiting for him to kind of like turn into the guy that the Bears paid him to be. You're waiting for Dexter to turn into the guy that the Bears drafted him to be, and it just kind of seems to be more the same. And it's not like it's bad. The output that you're getting out of Dexter isn't bad. It's like not like, fuck, why did we draft this guy in the second round? He's a complete bust. He's
not cut.
He's performed. Yeah. But it's like if you're going to keep him and you plan on re-signing him, you want to see him take a leap. And I would just guess that the odds, and from my perspective, the odds are you're going to get more of the same. So if I can get a second round pick for Dexter now and get ahead of it and not put myself in the position where I potentially got to overpay a guy that is underperforming, I'd much rather do that for sure. I would, and I really do like Dexter as a player.
I'm with you, man. My biggest problem with Dexter, like you said, more of the same. It's like the the cons listed in his draft bio are still his
They're
biggest
still
problems
still
today.
the same. Yeah, they're still the same.
So I don't see why all of a sudden this is something this guy would get fixed, especially since he had a really good quality coaching staff last season. You think that would have been the year? Like, well, looks like somebody figured this out.
I mean, here's the reality, Brandon. All these Bears fans, all these draft analysts, everyone is of the opinion that the Bears need to draft a game-wrecking defensive tackle. So Dexter's not that. Because if he was, we wouldn't be needing that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be their greatest need on it by every measure, by every analyst.
He's a replacement level player just by that logic, because the Bears are being projected to replace that. So I mean that's what it comes down to for me. I don't know, man. I like Dexter. I would be interested in seeing what he can do in a contract year, but at the same time, if you can get a good enough offer, it's worth considering. The Bears are in a position that they have to make tough decisions. That keeps being said, and that it could not be more true. You're negative cap right now, and you're a talented team, and you're gonna have to pay other guys coming up here soon. You got to make tough decisions. You do, and turning good players into draft capital that could turn into great players on rookie contracts is smart business. It just is.
I agree, man. I mean, even if you like Dexter, you think that he's a pretty productive rotational player in this team. Even if you think, wow, the Bears are going to replace Dexter and I draft a 3-tech high, but he still serves a purpose as a rotational piece on this football team, you could possibly turn him into a player on a rookie deal versus a guy who needs a contract.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer in that regard, especially with the position the Bears are in financially.
And I think
that's what I keep thinking about.
From what I read today, the idea, guys, is to overhaul this fucking thing. They like their secondary. I know that. Dennis Allen likes the players in the secondary, but they're looking to overhaul this defense. That front seven, nobody's safe.
Well, and he could like those players in the secondary all he wants, but he's got to pay them too. You got two safeties that are your two starting safeties are free agents, and their backups are too. So like, there's a lot of work,
and there's a lot of question marks over some of the players that even at the corner position to me, man. What is Zay Frazier? The guy, I don't know what happened with him. Something happened with him. Terrell Smith had a pretty severe injury. Your depth there is a little weak already. So I do see this front seven getting overhauled, Dustin. From what I was reading today, it has a different image than Dennis Allen likes. It's not his. He didn't put this shit together, and he's ready to fucking move on from it. That's what.
Kneecap, we're gonna get into the combine. We got to start moving this thing along. But yeah, stick around, and we're gonna give you our takes on the underwear Olympics, as they call them, or the pajama Olympics, as you just called them. True says, give me a second round pick, and you can have Dexter. I think we're all kind of everyone here in this moment right now, I feel like we're kind of on the same page about that.
So do you want to talk about, there was some new things said regarding DJ Moore that me and Dustin haven't had a chance to talk about yet on this show, guys. Ryan Poles was asked directly from Carmen. Was it Carmen? I think, no, Sylvie.
Okay.
Silverman asked Poles directly, is DJ Moore on this football team in 2026? The answer wasn't promising, guys. The answer was not promising. I'll say that. I believe Ryan Poole said, we really like DJ. We have to consider all of our options. That's not, I don't know. It's not a test.
I mean, he's been pretty boilerplate. His whole press conference, of what I watched of it, he plays it pretty close to the vest. He knows there's he's not going one way or the other. He's not committal. He's not committal in one way or the other, which is smart because, I think you got to play this game, and he knows that DJ is a contract that if he can move, it's going to create a lot more flexibility for him. So you don't want to just say, yeah, I want to get rid of this guy because then the team's going to lowball you. You got to, but the DJ is our number one receiver.
It's kind of the opposite.
Pay number one receiver prices. That's it.
You just weren't ready.
Yeah,
you weren't willing to say DJ's going to be on this football team in 2026. So I guess that speaks more to me than saying, yeah, no, we're looking to get rid of him. Like, you're not willing to commit. And obviously, guys, I didn't know this. After Caleb Williams went and did the podcast with Max Crosby flew to Chicago, and Caleb picked him up at O'Hare. There's something happening here, man.
Maybe Caleb was having him on his podcast, Brandon.
There's something fucking happening here. Okay, these two players have become. They started with just a mutual
They
respect.
seem to be kind of falling in love during that podcast.
Yeah, it started with a mutual
maybe
respect.
It was just a fun, romantic weekend they were having. I don't know, man.
It started with a mutual respect. It feels like a recruitment to me, Dustin. You know how these things feel, right? You know when one guy's trying to recruit another. That's what it fucking feels like to me. Caleb's very important.
Caleb can't do that.
Caleb's very important to the future of this organization. If Caleb has a voice in the room, it's going to be heard.
Oh, Caleb certainly has a voice in the room. And
he likes this guy.
Spytech said they're not trading Crosby, but all these other teams, the Cowboys weren't trading Micah Parsons until they did. You know, that's what they'll always say up until the time it happens. If Max Crosby becomes a pain in their ass intentionally to get traded, then the writing will be on the wall there.
Crosby does not want to be in Vegas from what I gathered at the end of last season. He was really upset with the team, man. He didn't show up. After they told him you're not going to play, you're not going to get suited, he didn't show up. That's the start of something bad, guys.
Yeah, no, if it only gets worse, they're certainly going to move him.
And then when they reported he didn't show up, Pete Carroll pulled this. No. We told him, and so I talked to him and told him not to show up. No, you fucking didn't. No, you didn't.
Yeah,
no, you didn't. Stop.
If you're cheating on your wife, you don't just come out and admit it. And he said Crosby has denied that he asked for a trade.
No, he didn't. He did not publicly ask for a trade. He didn't. Denying that. He did.
That's literally not happening.
What
but I mean, like,
he wanted
they're
to
not okay.
They told him he's not. He's going to sit. He got pissed off about it. He didn't show up the next day, and then Pete Carroll, put in a very bad spot with a very blush face, was asked, "Why isn't Crosby here?" And Carroll pitched some. We talked, and I told him I completely understand where he's coming from. Come on, man.
I don't think we should get too much into this, to be honest. I mean, if Crosby comes here, there's concerns there too. It is what it is. But I mean, we're all aware of how this is going down with Crosby and the Raiders. I think when it comes to the Bears, they're taking every call. Like I said, I really do believe Poles is working it hard. He's going like he always does at the combine, to try to get some good sweetheart deals for the Bears. He seems to make his best deals at the combine. So, like, I hope that's what he's doing now. And if you can move on from some of these guys, clear up some space, get some assets back, give you some flexibility going into free agency and the draft, that's ideal, man. It really is. And as Scott said, there's going to be a lot more going out the door than we think, is what he thinks. And yeah, that's kind of the position the Bears are in, and they're going to have to wheel and deal a little bit here. So there's some guys that we all like that are not going to be here. It
wasn't good, guys. It wasn't good. So no matter who you like or who you love, whether it be DJ Moore or somebody on the defensive side of football, you got to fix a bad unit. They were bad. And I will say this, man, from what I'm hearing, I don't know that this is this speculatively, Ryan Poles is a little more willing to move away. This first round pick at the 25th spot is not as valuable to him as the top 10 picks that he's had over the course of
a trade back. I've been saying for weeks, a trade back makes a lot of sense.
He's not looking at this 25th pick player set in stone kind of thing, man. He's looking at it like it's flexibility. So we'll see what happens, guys. But
Brandon, I want to get into this compensatory.
Yeah, that's the last. So the last thing we're going to talk about is the Ryan Poles, the compensatory picks, guys. The Bears filed some sort of grievance with the NFL, stating that they're not being awarded what the NFL stated they will in their rules. They did make a player, a minority executive, get a better position, right? As far as the league's concerned, the Bears had something to do with that.
It should be a promotion to GM, yes.
And then you find out that Matt Ryan said during a presser, this guy he's driving the ship.
He's making all the football decisions.
He's in charge of free agency, and
he's in charge of the draft. He's in charge of the free agent. He's in charge of roster construction, which makes him a general manager.
Which is what Cunningham said. They asked Cunningham, and he said,
"Well, Cunningham said straight. Cunningham said straight up. You know, it was my understanding that if a GM, a minority GM, gets hired, then that team gets 2 third-round picks.
I'm a GM.
I'm a GM, and I was hired. I think they should get the 2 third-round picks. Ryan Poles said, you know, when I was hired from Kansas City, they got 2 third-round picks. And so, yeah, I think this is clear, man, in terms of the NFL. It's looking to me like the NFL is going to have to acknowledge that this deserves the compensatory picks. There's just no other way to really look at it from my perspective. I think the Bears are going to get those third round picks when they announce this. If they don't, then yeah, that's really shameful because it's as straightforward as a minority candidate gets that opportunity. The team that developed them to help them get that opportunity gets compensated. The more interesting thing to me, Brandon, in that article I sent you and what Poles said was about the Rooney Rule, about the way Poles looks at it, about the way probably the NFL looks at it, man. I mean, Poles is a minority GM, and he thinks it's kind of ridiculous just the fact that the rule's in place. But if the rule is in place, he thinks the Bears should benefit from it because that's what they did. But I just want to read what Poles said because I thought this was the most interesting part of the whole story. He says, he said it'll be up to the league and how they see it. But he says, I mean, I'll be honest. I think it is a little strange. At the end of the day, you should want to develop your staff regardless of the color of their skin. I think that it is important. I think we take a lot of pride with the Bears in our setup, and I take a lot of pride in that. So to be compensated for that is a little strange. I saw the Chiefs get a pick because of me, and then I watched that player go and play. It's just a little odd. But if at the end of the day they think that's what is best to help incentivize, then that's what they want to do. But at the end of the day, like I said, that's not the purpose of why we develop our staff. But if that is the rule they have in place, I think it's very clear in the situation what should happen. We'll see what they think. I couldn't agree with Poles more.
No, that was perfectly said.
Yes,
especially since he just promoted a white guy to be his assistant. Like,
yeah,
he clearly doesn't
the
care
best
so
person
much
for
about
the job.
Yeah.
But if you are going to incentivize in that way, how does this circumstance not fall directly into that? The Bears should receive the 2 third-round picks this year and next year, compensatory for losing Ian Cunningham and helping him gain that role. And Poles also said, he puts it in the 2 buckets, like he's happy for
he wants
Ian Cunningham, right? But at the same time, like there's these very clear rules. They're very strange rules. I don't understand why they're incentivizing us to develop our staff based on the color of their skin when we should be developing our staff regardless and to the best possible, personnel we can have. But it just doesn't make sense otherwise. It doesn't make sense in this scenario that the Bears would not be eligible to earn those 2 third-round picks. And then when you got the Falcons GM saying it and Matt Ryan saying what he's saying about Cunningham and his role within this team, there's no ground for the NFL to stand on. It's like, who should be fighting against the Bears getting those 2 third-round
and that
picks?
felt by design.
That's weird. That's weird. That's the weirdest part.
Because Ryan Poles and Matt Ryan are pretty close friends, and it was a Bears reporter that asked.
Correct,
Matt,
BCAP. This year and next year.
There's a Bears reporter that asked Matt Ryan, what purpose is Ian Cunningham going to serve? What role does he play here? So like it felt by design. I think Matt Ryan was kind of trying to put the league on blast a little bit too. Like, what role is he going to serve? He's doing everything.
Yeah.
That's what fucking role he's going to serve. He's my fucking general manager. That's the role he's going to serve. So like, it felt like all 3 parties, Ian Cunningham, Matt Ryan, Ryan Poles, are kind of trying to call the NFL out on their fucking hypocrisy a little bit. Isn't that what it feels like?
Yeah, and I mean, it really comes down to like, who does it benefit to not do who's in the league that's like. Who's in the league that's like they shouldn't get those picks? We're not doing that. You're just throwing imaginary picks into the draft.
Yeah, it's not like the Falcons are conceding picks.
You started doing this out of nowhere anyways, and you're just randomly adding extra picks to a fucking draft and cool. But why shouldn't the Bears benefit from that? And who benefits from the Bears not benefiting from that? Why is this a big deal? Right? There's a clear line here where the minority candidate gets a promotion. That team that had that minority candidate on their team gets compensated for it. That's the precedent you've set. So why would that change now in this scenario? And who benefits from that?
There's a white guy in Atlanta that's got a higher ranking position than the GM. What is that?
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And then let me for those of you.
Let me make it more ridiculous.
For those of you who like don't really dive into the ins and outs of this stuff in the NFL, when Ian Cunningham says yes, the Bears should get the 2 third-round picks. The Falcons aren't conceding them. It's not like the Falcons are like, yeah, let me get the picks out of my pocket here. Hold on, I got these for the fuck. It's nobody's picks. It's just
they're just imaginary picks that you created out of thin air and threw into the fucking draft.
The only teams that might file
those fucking picks.
The only teams that might file a grievance against it are the teams that are going to move down one pick when the Bears add another. You know what I mean? Everybody else is going to move back one. That's the result. But I don't think any team in the NFL is like, no, 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 no. We're not going from 57 to 58 because these guys are getting a fucking pick.
No, that's like
Yeah.
it's like the worst hall pass monitor ever. Like, what the fuck? Who are you benefiting? What purpose do you serve by doing that?
It's Ryan Poles is right. It's all ridiculous, but be consistent. Be consistent, man.
Yeah,
We say that a lot on this show. Be fucking consistent.
Like
That's what
it's
it
a
is.
straight line. It's a straight line from here to there. The Bears should be compensated, and I do believe that the fact that the Falcons are coming out and good on Ian Cunningham and Matt Ryan for making this as clear as possible, and the Bears filing the grievance as they should.
Yeah, good for Poles for not letting it go.
Poles has been very, very mature, very spot on in his evaluation of the situation, right? And Poles is in his fucking bag. Let's just say that. Like Poles is more confident and smooth than he's ever been.
Yeah.
He knows what the fuck he's doing. That's why I think he's wheeling and dealing at the combine. I think he's just feeling himself. And like this makes sense that you would file this grievance and that the Bears would win it, because who loses if the Bears win it?
Nobody.
It's a victimless
the
crime.
NFL has to admit
Like,
the NFL has to admit they're dumb. That's all that happens. The NFL has to be like, oh yeah, now that you look at it, you're all right.
I just like the way Poles looked at it, and I mean, from a guy who was hired as a minority candidate and the team that to help develop him received those picks, and to just say like it's a strange thing.
Who better to speak on it?
But yeah, exactly. But if this rule is in place, this strange rule that's meant to incentivize this, then why should we not benefit from it the way the team that I got hired from benefited from it in the same exact fucking situation?
And it's weird, man. It's weird if you're outside looking in. It's like the NFL does this to incentivize the promotion of minority candidates. It's like, well, the Bears don't get it because the Falcons hired this white guy. Like, hey, the NFL,
that feels strange too.
It's not looking good for the NFL right now, man. It's looking like
had you not hired this white guy first and given him this title, then this black guy would actually be the boss. What?
Yeah,
he went from an assistant GM to a GM,
and then the white guy when the white guy who's Ryan Poles' friend is asked by a Chicago reporter, what role does Cunningham serve here? He's like, he's everything, man. He's everything. I'm not doing nothing.
Not doing anything.
I don't want no part of this. That's Matt Ryan was like, I've got nothing to do with the lack of compensatory picks. Okay, it's got nothing to do with me. I don't want to be affiliated with it. Dustin, we've hit the hour mark, and I think everybody in this chat is pretty excited. Everybody's kind of talking about this combine. It started today.
I watched some of it, and I rarely watch it. Brandon, I just want to say that I
just watched the Cliff Notes.
I think you watched the Cliff Notes. I think that the combine from here on out, since 2 years ago, and just every year going forward, the combine should be the annual memoriam to the time when Bears fans who still wanted Justin Fields and wanted to find any way to justify it threw Caleb under the bus for not competing at this fucking ridiculous event. And at the same time, at the same time, they had no problem with Marvin Harrison Jr. not participating in the combine in the same draft, because you could take Marvin Harrison Jr. and pair him with Justin Fields. This should be just that day. We should just honor that.
We obliterated that a lot on this show.
Never forget that Bears fans who wanted to keep Justin Fields just ran roughshod over Caleb Williams for not participating in this fucking unnecessary event in the first place, but had no problem with Marvin Harrison Jr. because, hey, he's the receiver that I want to pair with Justin Fields.
Which 2 years consecutively now, guys, has injured a player for an entire year. Two players have suffered injuries.
I saw multiple people pull up with glutes and hams and shit. Devin Banks went out.
Any player that's projected in the first round that saes I'm not doing it, power.
Good on you. You're fucking smart. You're not going to gain.
There's a lot of tape, bro.
You have nothing. You have everything to lose. Really nothing to gain unless you're Sonny Styles.
I wouldn't
Sonny Styles just went fucking.
I don't know that Mendoza's gonna. I don't know that Mendoza's gonna. He's there. I don't know that he's gonna do anything.
No, he's not gonna fucking throw.
I don't blame him if he does. No. Which, by the way, Luke Altemeyer is impressed a little bit. That's cool. I like that kid.
I fucking love this guy, J2K. I fucking love this guy.
Caleb Alarms,
or out of TCU. I think he's like 6'2", 230 pounds. What did he run? He ran a fucking hell of a 40. What 4
See, I'm
7
glad we got J2K, and I know Dustin.
4
that
4
you paid
7 40,
attention to this.
Brandon.
I saw. Yes, I saw this 40. I saw this 40.
This guy's built like a brick shit
edge.
house, and he's got speed. He's got athleticism. I mean, he's been like like what, ranked like 180th by a lot of players. Like,
see, this is
fifth round
me and
guy,
Dustin.
5th round, 4th round guy.
This is why I hate this. This is why I hate this. Because you
Hate
get
what?
4 years of tape on somebody.
Yeah,
They run a good 40, and the guy's 3 rounds higher than his. I don't like this.
he had a good vertical jump too, Brandon.
I don't like the. Regardless of what we've seen this guy do on the field, he's really athletic, so he should be drafted far
His
higher.
vertical was 40 inches, Brandon. I mean, come on.
I no doubt the kid's athletic. It doesn't mean he's a good football player. That's just not the way it works. It
No,
doesn't
I
correlate
think
that.
he's a good football. I think the one exception to that rule, Brandon, is when you see really good tape all
And
through their career,
they
and
surprise
then
you.
they
Yeah.
show you those physical abilities that translate to the NFL in the combine, and that's just the icing on the cake.
Yes,
We're-
but let's
guy-
not Bayless
Guys
Jones
coming out of
anybody
nowhere
here.
as like the
Yeah.
John Ross running the fastest 40 in NFL combine
Bayless
history, and
Jones.
getting drafted 9th overall by the Bengals.
Yes.
That was ridiculous. Like, shit like that is stupid.
Bayless Jones wouldn't have been a 3rd-round pick if he didn't fucking burn that 40, if he wasn't the fastest player in the class. Like, this is what bothers me the most about the combine guys. You start to you get too deep in it. You get buying blinders on because you're so ooh and ah of this fucking kid. But it's like, remember the tape. Remember the tape. There's a
You know
draft
what?
projection for a
Yeah.
reason.
You know what bothers me the most about the combine is everybody's fucking dicks flapping around the entire time. Dude, it's ridiculous.
It's like watching
Like, get some
28 years
support.
later.
Get some support. It's fuck, dude. It's like, I'm not trying to. I just want. This is why I don't watch the combine. This is why I don't watch.
Am I gay? I have to turn this off.
Yeah, it's making me feel uncomfortable with myself.
So yeah, guys, the one guy we could obviously talk about, he's not in the Bears range, but Sonny Styles, I mean,
That's one of the best combines in,
like you said, on top of being
history.
One of the best players already in this draft, he just blew pretty much all the numbers away. So this guy's moving himself into even further out of the Bears range. This guy's moving himself.
I mean, he was a 10 to 15 pick in every mock that I've seen, but what he did tonight, I mean, like, just in terms, when you start comparing him to other combine studs, physically gifted guys, like, he blew them out the water. Like he's running faster than receivers. He made himself a top 5 pick, right? He could go number 2,
and he should,
because he has the play to back it up. That's what, like you said, Brandon.
We got him. We got him for DJ Moore. It's not a big deal. I want to boast about it in our off-season simulator.
Yeah, Alarms Aura was somebody I wanted to get into, J2K. He says, excellent linebacker, build in size, special speed, very athletic, good change of direction, hesitant, trusting his eyes, play strength is very good, can stack and shed, high ceiling, high floor. That speed, that's good for coverage.
I love high floor players, J2K.
I mean, I've also read that he might be more of a Sam in the league. Early on, at least, just in that, a part-time role, not an every down linebacker. But I mean, you love his athletic ability showing today, on top of the fact that he already had those great traits, J2K. And I mean, yeah, if you've got a 4th round pick and you want to take this guy, I think you're getting a fucking steal. Like, I think you're getting a guy who can contribute right away, unlike a Ruben Hippolyte, who you took in the 4th round last year. And this guy might shoot up draft boards and end up becoming a 3rd round pick, based on how he performed today. Because as much as we want to, knock the combine stuff, these guys do rise and fall because of it, Brandon. And the things that you're looking for is really just the movement and like the explosiveness. And a lot of guys stood out to me, man, today, especially at the defensive line spot. The one guy that stood out the most to me, Brandon, was Zane Durant. Zane Durant stood out the most.
Zane Durant and Grayson Holton, both.
Grayson Holton, who J2K has been bringing up on here for a few weeks when we've
been quality days, guys, at a position the Bears not only need, but 2 guys that they will have.
BCP went 4.5 hours, Cliff. God damn. I was watching as long as I could, but
these are 2 players the Bears will have a chance to draft. So right now, Zane Durant is projected to be between the 3rd and the 5th round after his combine. It seems like he's going to be a 3rd round pick without a doubt. And Grayson Holton was projected a 3rd to 4th round pick, who's now probably worked his way into the 2nd round. So yeah, these are guys that are available to the Bears, and that's why this is important this day. That this position they went through today. And I do want to say this: another guy, as while we were talking about Sonny Styles, Ruben Bain is a fucking freak. That guy's a fucking animal.
Why are
And
you
he
saying
is-
that? Because Ruben Bain, we can talk about Ruben Bain. He
Yeah.
didn't participate today.
Yeah,
But no, he didn't participate.
I didn't see it, but when I read players that stood out today, it said Ruben Bain was one of them.
No, he stood out of the drills. Ruben Bain is getting a lot of
Nice.
attention for the fact that his arms are coming up short. That's turning into a big deal.
I never. This is
well,
the same
listen.
thing we talked about all last offseason with the offensive tackles. I don't buy into that bullshit, dude.
Let me pull up the numbers because some of these analytics matter. All right, listen, from Matt Miller on ESPN. Arm length was the topic of the day as Bain 30 and 7/8 inches, and Texas A&M's Cassius Howell 30 and 1/4 measured under 31 inches. According to ESPN research, those lengths would be the shortest for any defensive lineman drafted in the 1st round since ESPN started tracking combine data in 2003. And then he's asking if NFL general managers are going to bet that they're outliers, right? And everybody could be, right? But what you're looking for is anything over 31-inch arms, because no one sub 31-inch arms has had 10-plus sack seasons since 1999. Like, the data is pretty conclusive that if you have arms under that length, you're not going to do very well in terms of getting sacks. The one thing that can overcome that potentially is really good speed.
Oh yeah, that's the reason he stood out because of his arm length.
Yep.
33. What? I don't understand though. They still do the measurements, but they don't perform.
Listen, well, because that's just easy stuff, and NFL teams need that because of stuff like this, Brandon. Like, you could be an outlier, but the data going back to 1999, like, this is not a small sample size, says that guys with arms less than that threshold just don't get double-digit sacks. It doesn't happen. So, but also it came out that some teams on their individual measurements had them at 32 inches.
Yeah, Cassius Howell had very bad measurements too.
Yeah, that's who I just said. I just mentioned both of them. Yes. So yes, it's a concern. I think Ruben Bain is going to fall. Now, again, there are a couple of teams that had their independent measurements that had him in a good enough range, and those teams were probably not out on him. But you're going to see Bain fall down some draft boards, and you're going to see Messidor continue to rise up, I think.
The player that I think is going to fall.
Yeah, J2K says Bain has the shortest arm length in like 30 years. It's not a good look. It's not a good look at all.
The player who I think will fall, that I never really loved to begin with, but is Arvell Reese.
I don't think he's going to fall. I mean, he performed well. I mean, him and Sonny Styles are both going to potentially be top 5 picks.
No, he already was. He was projected the 2nd pick overall in most mock drafts.
Well, yeah, but you're talking about him falling. I don't think that that's going to happen. If he's falling out of the top 5.
Being reported, he doesn't define any position in the NFL.
I think Bailey is going to take his spot though as that guy. That is that 3-4 outside pass rusher.
Sonny Styles might take his spot as the second.
Sonny Styles, Sonny Styles. Correct. But in terms of that edge rusher though, because Sonny Styles is not that. He's an off-ball linebacker who will get edge rushing opportunity because of his physical abilities. I mean, but I just think Bailey might overtake Reese as that number 1 pass rusher.
I still think that.
Because he performed today and he performed well.
I could be wrong here, guys. I've said this a few times. I still think Caleb Downs is the best player in this draft, pound for pound. I really do.
Well, Caleb Downs is an awesome player for sure, and I tend to agree with you, Brandon. But Sonny Styles, like I said, with the tape that he has this year, and the fact that he went from that defensive back to linebacker and has just grown and gotten better, and then you take the fact that he is a proven physical freak, he might end up going. He's going to go before Downs. He is, and he might end up being a better player. Downs, though, I really like a lot as well. We're talking about defensive lineman.
Arvell Reese. What player did you say?
David Bailey.
David Bailey, Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He performed today, and he performed well. He ran all the drills.
This is one of those guys, man. and he's a good football player. He already was, but one of those guys that I think like you might overreact a little bit to the numbers you see at the combine. I don't know that he should be a top 3 pick. I wouldn't put him there, honestly. But
it's possible he jumps up there though after today, man. I don't know. What I'll say,
and that's we talk about this a lot. And that's the thing That's the thing that bothers me the most about the combine. Sometimes these measurables outweigh where you had a player to begin with.
and Poles falls victims to that. He has been had a high focus on these RAS scores, which are bullshit to me. The RAS scores are bullshit.
Was a 3rd round pick in nobody's mind, except for Ryan Poles, and he saw something. He saw some of the measurements. He saw some of the physical accolades, and it made a big deal. It made a big impact on Poles.
Let's talk about.
Go ahead.
You don't like the okay, but let's talk about some of these physical attributes that like, because you talk about the arm length. Like that's a bad indicator for a defensive end if you're under this amount. Like going back to 1999, it just doesn't happen. So that could play really bad in Ruben Bain's favor. But no, you're here. No, you're good. You're here. Caleb Banks stood out, and this is the guy that a lot of Bears fans have been eyeing. Right, 6'6", 327, 35-inch arms. Hands are fucking huge. He's got mitts. His wingspan is fucking like ridiculous. He ran today, Brandon, a 5.0440 at that size. That is insane. So when you talk about his height, he's in the 98th percentile. His weight, he's in the 89th percentile. Hands, 94th. Arm, 94th. Wingspan, 99th percentile. Longest at the combine for defensive tackles since 1999 for Caleb Banks. And he performed well in the drills that he did. He ran a 5.0540 for that size. That is insane. He ended up getting injured and not finishing it out. He couldn't finish out all the drills, but this guy might have taken himself to a place where the Bears aren't going to have a chance at him, Brandon. He might have moved himself into the mid-teens with his performance today and his size and physical abilities. He's a unicorn.
There's a few players who have been mock drafted to the Bears that were projected by an AI guys. I just asked AI. That's what I did. I asked fucking AI. Where does this guy end up being drafted most likely? And they said there's a few players in the Bears 25th range that will likely move up in the middle of the 1st round. And Banks was a guy I could have seen doing that. We knew he was a pretty athlete. I mean, I've said on the show before, this guy's a freak. Banks is a freak. He really is. And honestly,
he showed it today, Brandon.
And honestly, the combine thing bothers me because I think McDonald's a freak. I do.
Well, I mean, so do you want to keep talking about Banks or do you want to talk about McDonald? Because he fell today, probably. He might have fallen into the 2nd round.
Which with kind of
unless he has an awesome pro day, Brandon. And yeah, I can see that
takes him out of the Bears. If he falls in the 2nd round, he's going to be a high 2nd round pick. So
unless you trade back and add some more draft capital and still get your guy. And Poles is good at that shit.
Trading up, I don't think from as late as you are in the 2nd round to anywhere near the high.
Yeah, no, Caleb Banks might have pushed himself out of your range today. I think he did. I think he could end up being a top 12, top 15 pick with his performance today.
That's the 3 tech I was looking at the most when I was looking at these.
I mean,
but the Bears are drafted.
But he's 6'6", 327. You're looking at potentially another Javon Dexter type. But I mean, and Dexter was faster at the combine. Like you said, Poles fell in love with the RAS score, like the physical part of it, and maybe but Banks has good tape to go with it. I guess Dexter did too, to an extent. But to me, even in college, it just looked like he was just standing straight up off the snap.
I don't think Dexter didn't to me.
Yeah. So I mean, you can talk about Caden McDonald, and just stumbling through some drills today, performing. He didn't run the 40. He didn't do that. I don't think he would. He's going to run a good one, but but it'll be good for his size, I guess. He's pretty much a physical freak, I think.
And he moves laterally really well.
I think he's going to put a lot into his pro day, but nose tackles aren't going to generally be standouts at these types of events. So, I mean, like, could Caden McDonald fall into the 2nd round and be a goddamn steal? 100%. Could the Bears still draft him? Listen, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. It was like 5 out of 9 mock drafts had the Bears taking Caden McDonald. Since then, 3 other mock drafts have come out from prominent guys. And guess who? Caden McDonald, Mel Kiper, Bucky Brooks in his 2nd mock draft. All these analysts are identifying a big need for the Bears is that nose tackle that can eat up space and help you stop the run when you're giving up 5 yards per carry. It is probably the Bears' biggest need along that defensive line. We've dug into that. But like, if he did play himself into the second round, like we just said, could Poles maneuver that draft board, pick up some extra draft capital, move back, and still get the guy that the Bears probably need and that he wants?
Yeah, and these guys were rolling last night.
JTK says we're not doing it.
For anybody who didn't watch last night's show, guys, go back and check it out. It was a really good show. The Barely There podcast. I said in their chat, they were in a roll, man. I think, and their chat was all fucked up. They were skipping chats, but is the Bears' greatest problem the inability to block 2 guys?
Brandon, I got to piss.
You can't rush. Okay, you cannot rush 4 men. You're not going to have much of a 4-man rush if you don't have the guy that can take 2 blocks. Because whatever way you look at it, guys, it's always going to be 4-on-5. And quality defensive lines like that Denver Broncos team that's led the league in sacks for the last 2 years have the ability. One player on that line has the ability to consume 2 blocks. That's what makes it efficient. That's what makes it effective. That's what makes the guys on the edge even better than they probably are. Because I don't think those guys in Denver that are leading the league in sacks, I don't think those guys are the best players at the edge position in the league. I don't think they're anywhere near it. To be honest, I could probably list 5 or 6 guys that are better than both of them. And they seem to be at the top of the list every year. And I think it's just because this line is efficient from top to bottom. They have 4 quality players. They have a top 5 ranked defensive tackle duo in the NFL. And I think that the Bears would really benefit. Everybody on this Bears defensive front would benefit from a guy that can consume 2 blocks. The Bears don't have that. It makes everybody else's job harder, especially Billings last season. I mean, he was a shell of the guy he was when we first signed him. He had added some weight in the offseason, and then he suffered an injury. It just didn't go well for Billings last year. He's not the answer for the Bears moving forward. They do need a nose tackle just as badly as they need a 3 technique. Now, you guys know me. I'm a firm believer that as long as a quarterback has a pocket to throw in, it's going to be really tough to rush the pass. I don't think the guys on the edge are going to benefit very much if you're not closing that pocket up front. You've got to get some push. But Dustin, is the Bears' greatest problem, and how much improved could they be by gaining a player that can consume 2 blocks?
Yeah, we've gone into this, man. It's a huge thing, and it's probably the Bears' biggest.
You can't rush 4. Can't do it.
Yeah. So a guy like that would make a lot of sense. JTK says we're not drafting McDonald. I don't know. You could.
JTK is not a big lover of McDonald.
You're gonna see
he put like 8 tackles before McDonald.
You're gonna see a lot of shit change in these mocks and these projections leading into we got the combine now, and
we haven't even touched free agency.
There's gonna be a whole lot of shit that changes.
Do they get Franklin Myers or whatever?
I think you're gonna see mock draft analysts, going away from McDonald just because of his performance at the combine. But like Brandon said, I think that's a mistake. This guy's put fucking really good stuff on tape, and I think he serves his purpose well. I just don't think people will get excited about a nose tackle.
Kind of a freak.
Nose tackles don't get drafted in the first round.
He might not be running he might be running the best 40 I've ever seen, Dustin. Like you said, he didn't run it, but the guy's a freak. I don't need to watch a combine to see that this guy, at the size he is, can move unlike most people, man. As far as I'm concerned, I think he's the best nose tackle in this draft, and I think that because I think he kind of plays outside the bounds of his size.
I want to get back into Zane Durant a little bit.
Hold on real quick. You said something that you kind of glossed over. What was the injury to Banks?
It was nothing serious. I think he pulled something or something with his shoe or some shit. It was nothing serious. He just didn't finish it out. He's not like injured or anything. I think I was watching it while I was at work a little bit. I think they literally said something about his shoes.
You were watching a combine at work.
I watched a little bit of it. I knew we were going to be talking about it tonight. And honestly, the thing that I watch for the most is the movement of those defensive linemen in the drills, Brandon. Like how they're looping through the edge,
how fluid
they are. The edge drills, right? They're doing the figure 8 loop thing, the hoop drill. The defensive linemen with the pads when they're knocking those down. How are they attacking those pads? Do they
it's
actually
cool now that they do
that shit with force? Do they?
And they do that. They show you like some of the best tackles recently, like Braden Fisk. and then they like
Yes, it's cleats. Yes.
they put the two players simultaneously in the same shot. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the multi-view thing. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's fucking cool. I do like that they do that. That's cool because like kind of gives you some sort of, I don't know, comparison, something to base it off of. But yeah, let's go ahead.
Just from watching these guys, and I'm not going to go into all of their measurables for today. There's some
No,
guys really impressed physically, but Penn State put two guys out there today that could be mid-round to day 3 picks potentially in Zane Durant and Danny Dennis Sutton, who look fucking great. I mean, we talked about Danny Dennis Sutton when we were doing our offseason a few weeks ago. I really like this kid, and he performed very, very well today. And I think he moved himself up a little bit. If you're needing a rotational defensive end in the mid rounds, this is a guy I would fucking look at. He's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the strength, he's fluid in his movement. He dips, he bends pretty damn well for his size. I like him a lot. And Zane Durant, man, if you're looking for a 3-tech in hopefully the 5th round, this guy could be that guy. He what did he run, like a fucking 4.76 40? Like I said, we're not gonna get into all like
done a good job,
but like
at
he just
producing
looks
this.
really good. The way the defensive tackle drill that I liked, that I liked the most, like I said, is when they got all the blocking pads laid out and they go hit the one, they spin around the other, they hit the other one, they dip around and then push through. And Zane Durant had the best rep of any defensive lineman and defensive tackle in my mind in that drill. He really looked good, and he just pushed all the way through it, and it looked like it all happened in one motion, very fluid. Like just that shit stands out to me. Zane Durant, Danny Dennis Cummings out of Penn State, I think could be great mid-round options, and they would fit this Bears defense for what they need. I think.
Yeah, he's not gonna,
he's 6'1", 297 or something like that.
He's not going to be a 5th round pick, I don't think. I think Durant.
What's up, Phil?
This is the stuff that, man, I just really am not a big combine guy, but this is the stuff that he's not going to be a 5th round pick. He was projected 3rd to 5th. 5th was on the low end. These guys go out here, they show out at these combines. You kind of eliminate the low end side of their draft projections.
Yeah, and you got to be careful not overreacting to the combine. Sometimes it's better not to even pay attention to it at all, Brandon.
I really don't watch it.
The tape should
I'll read about
itself.
it. I don't watch it.
The tape should speak for itself, like you said, Brandon. And it makes sense for these guys that know what they've done in college football should stand on its own, and they don't need to perform. And I support that 100%. But when you talk about Lee Hunter today, Brandon, like Cliff Victoria's bringing up, who's another guy that a lot of people have mentioned as potential for the Bears, he's not gonna be a 1st round pick. I don't know, man. He just looked like he wasn't trying to me. I don't know why he shouldn't have went out there at all. The way he put forth the effort he put forth, but I think he put himself into the 2nd round just with that performance today, Cliff. And I mean, a 2nd round pick for the Bears, it could make sense, but he just didn't seem like he was trying in the 40 in the drills. He just didn't. I didn't see
lack of effort is one thing, because that's something
you can watch for sure.
That needs to be noted. But I want to remind you guys, the same as you don't want to overreact to somebody's, like, the physical traits that impress you. If you watch good tape from a kid for 4 years, 3 years, and then he comes out and he's a little lackluster in the combine, I wouldn't take that too much to heart either. I mean, Lee Hunter is a guy we've liked on this show. I don't know that I'm going to look at his combine and be like, nah, I'm good. I don't want, you know what I mean? I don't really like to respond to it one way or the other, but effort is a problem. Although, who's the kid, Simmons, who the Chiefs drafted at left tackle this last season? He was getting the same questions. The kid had a fucking great year.
I mean, that was more like personal stuff.
And really, he was called stupid basically by every single source and measure. Like, he's just a stupid guy, and he's stupid. Like, that's what people were saying.
J2K, that's a good point, but I mean, there is a reason that every NFL coach and GM is there watching these guys do it. And I think the main thing that they are looking for is the effort and the interview stuff. And is this guy a character guy that will fit in with my shit? And that can drop guys and move guys up on an NFL team's board.
I think 100%. Sonny Styles just moved up.
Maybe Sonny Styles was already there. Maybe J2K is right in that. Maybe Sonny Styles was already a top 5 pick in NFL teams' minds. Yeah, I mean, and I'm just saying, like, and then all this did was just kind of solidify.
I don't know
that.
if
But
I agree with that, J2K. I gotta like you. Do you believe that Velus Jones is drafted in the third round if he doesn't run the fastest 40 times since Tyreek Hill? He was 1/10 of a second behind Tyreek Hill when he ran his 40.
I mean, the 40 time clearly has impacted draft position in the past.
I don't think he's a third round pick if he doesn't.
I mentioned John Ross, Brandon, who was like a second, third round pick maybe before the combine, and he ran the fastest 40 time in NFL history.
Yes, when it comes to receivers and speed, it definitely affects where these guys are. Matthew Golden ran one of the best 40s at the combine.
But he had great tape already.
But he was raw, he didn't have a lot of snaps in college. So like, I don't know that Matthew Golden was the 14th pick in the draft, 15th.
Yeah, he was somewhere in there. Or
I don't know that he. I do think it.
No, he was like 22nd, wasn't he? The Packers.
I don't remember where the
Packers were in the playoffs, but he was in the 20s. Yeah.
I don't. I think it does. I think the combine does impact the way some of these teams look at some of these guys, especially maybe not the guys that show out, J2K, but I think the guys like what Phil was just saying here about Hunter, I think that does make an impact over the way teams look at some of these guys.
I got some more guys that stood out to me, Brandon. And listen, I'm not gonna pretend I'm like a fucking expert on this. I watched some and like
you want to talk about Grayson?
I want to talk about what I was just trying to talk about. Real quick.
You should do Grayson Holton because that's the other kid that I did. So
he's one. Okay, go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, just think like J2K. I actually told J2K after he mentioned his name during a show that I was going to do some homework on this guy, and I did watch a little bit of tape, but very, very, very athletically gifted 3-tech. I mean, the Bears are obviously in need of this position, and we did kind of say, Dustin, on this show, that you're so deep at the edge here, you should probably prioritize the tackle position. But these guys that we're talking about that are showing out in this combine are already mid-round projections. So are you better off with this tackle position holding off till the third round to try to get one of these guys, the kid from Penn State, Holton? Are you better off waiting on tackle? So I guess that J2K, does this change? Do you think these things change the way a team approaches which position they're prioritizing in a draft? You're seeing some stud-like players now here in the middle rounds at the 3-tech position. Does that incentivize the Bears maybe to hold off on the 3-tech?
Grayson Holton on NFL Draft Buzz is their 26th ranked defensive tackle, or defensive lineman. Yeah, so he's the 26th ranked defensive lineman, not defensive tackle. He's 6'3", 293. He ran a 4'8", 240. He really showed out at the combine today, Brandon. He looked good too. And I mean, again, this is a guy that people have been talking about, and I kind of understand what you're saying. Like, I think you're in a position where obviously you got to take the best player available with your first round pick. I think we continue to say that. If that's not a 3-tech, I'm feeling pretty good about taking Grayson Holton in the third round, though, and plugging him into my defensive tackle rotation. Based on what he put on film, he might. Do you think Grayson Holton, who's a guy you've liked, J2K, do you think he raised his draft profile with how he performed today at the combine? Because I think he did. I think in those mid-round guys, for sure, you can see movement from the combine more so than like the clear-cut studs, the guys that are at the top of the draft generally. I think Grayson Holton performed really well, Brandon. I think he'd be a great option as a third-round defensive tackle for a team that needs one, that is not able to get the guy they want, the banks in the first round. I think that could make a lot of sense for the Bears.
If you had never mentioned him, I watched a few Oregon games because I like Dante Miller. I like is that Dante Miller, the quarterback there? I didn't really notice Grayson Holton watching Oregon games. And then you mentioned his name. Like I said, I pulled up some tape. He's a pretty impactful player for sure. He's kind of a wrecking ball as a 3-tech. But then you watch the combine, man. And sure as shit, a name that you had mentioned to me and a guy I had kind of forgotten about. The combine starts today. The kid shows out. In my mind, he improved his draft projection in my own head. So are these guys doing this for general managers? And again,
Draft Buzz.
Are they changing the way Ryan Poles might look at a draft? Like,
can we trade back? Can we, hold off on this position? 100% they're going to think about those things. And obviously, like I said, you got to take the best talent. The Bears still just need talent at a lot of positions.
Yeah, I said
But
yesterday, if it's a left tackle at 25, because that's the guy you have
if
at the
it's
top of the
Monroe
board,
Freeling, yeah,
that's
I
who the
mean,
fuck it is. I'm cool with that.
his pass rush rating on DraftBuzz is 84%. Run defense is 91%. So I mean,
He's a bit of a wrecking ball, at least on the tape. He's
appeared in 32 games
lot
over
to
3
handle.
seasons, 567 defensive snaps. I mean, yeah, he's showed steady development according to this. I mean, he's a guy that would be somewhat of a project, right? What's up, Ted?
just the same as anybody taking one of those rounds, man. I mean,
J2K just does not acknowledge that NFL teams move people and they're on their boards based on the combine. I disagree to an extent.
I don't know that their boards are even drawn up before the combine, man. I think these guys
Yeah.
want to see everything.
And I don't know that they'll be
the pro day is a big deal.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know that they'll be surprised by combine numbers, but maybe they'll be surprised by an interview answer. Or maybe they'll be.
That's what I mean. They're all 30s. They're top 30 visits. I think that's when you're really starting to, especially a guy like Poles, Dustin. I mean, do you agree with this? A guy like Poles, he's waiting for those visits. He likes to talk to these kids. I think
he's a character guy. Yeah, 100%.
I think that's when you're starting to really kind of define where these players fall on your board.
So Grayson Holton obviously stood out. Devin Banks we talked about. Grayson Holton and Caleb Proctor as well. And then here was something interesting I read about those two. Defensive tackles, Caleb Proctor and Grayson Holton. Caleb Proctor was clocked at 20.95 miles per hour. Grayson Holton, 20.92 miles per hour on their 40-yard dashes.
That's fucking insane.
The 3 fastest defensive tackles by top speed in the last 20 years, I believe, were Kalijah Cansey, Dante Stills, and Braden Fisk. They've all started over 20 games in the NFL. So that says something about Grayson Holton.
And Ben,
if you can get up to that speed, it's kind of showing like that can translate to the NFL, right? Kalijah Cansey's a damn good defensive tackle in Tampa Bay
as well, and Fisk blew the combine away.
Yeah. So I mean, Grayson Holton, that stuff like that kind of matters to me, right? Like you see, like this transitions to the NFL well, and like guys who get up to those speeds have tended to have success and stay consistently involved in an NFL defense. And at J2K says, FYI, and this isn't my opinion, I'm telling you what scouts in a particular ex-Chicago Bears player personnel says. No, I get it. And I think NFL teams need to say that, J2K, and player Pete, guys who do that for a living, because that's their job. You know, you don't want it to be like, well, you know, like we have the same, we look at it the same way as fans do. It's something that you kind of got to protect as a guy who does that for a living. But
I've made it very clear.
I think there's some outliers to what
I don't like the combine moving players up or down, but I do believe that is a result. I do.
I mean, we've seen examples of it. It's just clear as day. We've seen examples of it. Interviews being shitty, tanking a guy's draft stock. We just saw that with Shedeur Sanders last year. It matters. Like you said, 90%, 10%. That 10% does matter though, to an extent. And maybe that's with certain players that 10% turns into 15 or 20%, or sometimes 30% if they are just so drastically below what the expectations were, whether that's in the physical output or in the mental output. I think it matters.
Right. And and I would say, you know, we've had what, Dustin, 11? How many projections? What, it doesn't matter. A bunch of people have said that Cade McDonald's going to go 25 to the Bears, right? Cade McDonald, 25 to the Bears.
I've now seen 7 out of like 15 prominent NFL drafts.
If this guy is now in the second round, the combine might have had something to do with it, man. It's just sometimes that is the result.
Yeah, but again, McDonald, I think more so than a lot of other players, his tape's going to speak for itself, and then he's still got his pro day to really show up.
He's a nose tackle. So, like you said, Dustin, if you're turning on the combine.
No, I'm talking about all of the combine stuff, J2K. All of it.
If you're turning on the combine expecting a nose tackle to show out, I don't know.
And I did acknowledge in the beginning of this conversation, J2K, that the medicals and the interviews could play, and the measurables can play a much bigger role. You know, I mean, but we
Well,
also
the
saw
measurables certainly do. We know that.
yeah,
for a fact.
yeah, and I mean, but then Will Campbell didn't hit those measurable marks, and he still got drafted in the top 5 by the New England Patriots. And then
But
some of those things kind of showed themselves in terms of like he
Yeah.
performed well for most of the season, but when he went against some good pass rushers with some long arms, he had some issues, and that. So
I'll
I
say
mean, like
this:
those things do
the-
matter.
the measurables. So I'll say this: I don't know that the measurables affect. Like Bain's going to be drafted high.
Yeah, no chance we trade Caleb.
Bain's
Chris
Bain's
Foster.
Bain's going to be drafted high, but
I
do
think
the
he's going to
measurables-
fall a little bit because of this, Brandon. I really do.
do the measurables impact what position a player is drafted at? Absolutely. Offensive 4-year offensive tackles in college football are made guards in the NFL because their arms are too short, man. So like,
Yeah, yeah.
and then a guard is less valuable to you than a tackle is. So it might
Which impacts your draft stock,
Yeah,
impacts where you're
yeah.
drafted. Yeah, for sure.
This Armand Membu,
Sorry to break it to you, Chris Foster.
Armand
No Caleb
Membu
trade in the future.
was a solid right tackle in college football, so he was a solid right tackle in the NFL. But there are guys like, I mean, there's a plethora
Well, he
of
was a
players.
guy they talked about potentially moving to guard too, though. Like
There's
they
a
throw that
plethora of
around with
players
all these
who
guys.
literally changed position because of the measurables in the NFL.
Can I talk about one guy that I mean, what Malachi Lawrence out of UCF? UCF has 2 defensive ends that participated today that both looked really good. Malachi Lawrence, I mean, he's 6'4", 250. This guy played himself into definitely the second round, potentially first round talk. He looks damn good. He's like I said, 6'4", 250. He has like room to put more weight on. I don't know that guy fits for a Bears team. This Bears team. I don't know what you think of that. That size is a little. It's a little too light.
Pay that any. I don't do that anymore.
So you would a pass rush specialist that's a little
play
lighter
everywhere.
in the ass. You could see that working for this Bears team because
If
this guy's got really good fluid movement, and he's got really good lean to him in terms of rushing the passer. I liked him a lot.
I always kind of tell people how my mind alters, the view over things alters. I'm not telling anybody they need to think the way I think. The whole scheme thing with the edge position is becoming a lot less relevant to me, Dustin. It really is. I read this. Does he fit? Is he a fit? Can they add weight? If a guy's at 250, if a guy's a really solid fucking edge rusher, go draft that guy.
He ran the second fastest 40 time behind Bailey today for the edge position at a 4.53. The guy's a fucking burner. He had one of the best vertical jumps at 40 inches. His broad jump was 10.10. What J2K, what do you think of Malachi Lawrence? Because I like this kid. I haven't watched a lot on him. I don't know if you have, but he was the guy that stood out.
Didn't watch a single UCF game. I can say
yeah. He's the guy who stood out to me though. And Caleb Proctor, I mentioned. Caleb Elam's or you mentioned before I could J2K, but he's a guy that I think the Bears should really look at. I think he could fit within the system.
I think I called the Oregon quarterback Dante Miller. His name's Dante Moore.
Dante Moore out of Oregon.
Correct myself on that. Yeah.
True Pilgrim says not a big fan of Lawrence. I think he did himself a lot of favors today. I think he acquitted himself really well. He certainly got a lot of physical ability, and he racked up a good amount of sacks at UCF over his 4 years there.
Well, a speed. Listen, a 40 time for an edge is a very important thing. To me, it is. You're not.
Yeah,
winning
he ran through those
winning
hoops
through
real
strength.
Well
You're trying to get home because you're like. To me, guys, Micah Parsons is just too fast. He's too agile. He's too elusive. He's not a big, strong fucking guy. Micah Parsons isn't going to go barreling through the best tackle in football, but he can get around you. And once he does, he can get to the quarterback because he turns the burners on, man. So, like, I when it comes to an edge versus a defensive end, because to me, they're becoming two very definitive things. I like these guys in any scheme, Dustin. I do.
This Lawrence guy's got some dip to him, man. He does. You could see it in the drills. I like the way he moved. Caleb Elam's or out of TCU. Jake Golday is a guy that I've liked for a while now, a linebacker. This guy's a second round player probably, and he acquitted himself really well today. Cincinnati, linebacker out of Cincinnati. He had a solid 40 time. He was just good in everything, pretty much across the board. There was a couple things that he could have performed better in, but like again, his tape kind of speaks for itself. He's got good range for a linebacker. I like him a lot, and if the Bears took him in the second round with the 57th pick, I would not be upset at all. I think he's going to be a really good linebacker in the NFL. I mentioned Danny Dennis Sutton. And then Marvin Jones Jr. Am I tripping? Is that Marvin Jones's son, like the former head coach? Because I heard him mention his father during the broadcast today, but he looked really good. He's an edge.
Former
as well.
Bengals coach?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I'm wondering if I know his father had NFL connections. That was mentioned. I couldn't think of who.
His kid would probably be around that age.
And I'm pretty sure he's out of is it Ohio State or Oklahoma? I can't remember. I like Marvin Jones Jr. though, and what I saw from him in terms of he tested really well. He looked really good. He looked really fluid in his movement. Those were some guys that stood out to me, man. The ultimate thing that stood out to me though was like there was linebackers that I liked that didn't participate in this combine. And Sean did that whole write-up on Kelly. He didn't perform the greatest today, but like he's still gonna be a good player. I said this weeks ago when we were doing our mock offseason, Brandon. This is a really good draft to need to add safeties and linebackers. I think you're going to see safeties really dominate at the combine as well, and you're going to see a lot of them drafted. The safeties and linebackers in this draft are good. The positions are deep. You're going to get starters in middle to potentially late rounds out of this draft.
Yeah, and if you're looking at safeties, guys, again, go check out the Barely There podcast from yesterday. Sean, Kyle, and Jay did a really good job at breaking down the top.
Yeah, they did the safeties yesterday.
10 to 15 guys on the board. There's 2 or 3 guys that I've already kind of had.
They did linebackers last week. Yeah.
But very informative. This is a good safety class, man. It is. Like if you're in need of a starter, or even 2, you can probably get it here.
Yeah, and it was said by.
I think Ryan Pohl's scouting departments, since he's become the general manager of this football team, has done a really good job at identifying secondary talent. So
okay. And
J2K says now Al Harris has a voice in that room. That doesn't hurt.
J2K says, yeah, I have Lawrence is raw, but has excellent natural traits. He's a project, but there's upside. He's an athlete. I need to see more. Like, is he worth a second round pick? Because that's probably where he's gonna go. I liked what I saw from the kid. Shorty is with us. What's up, Shorty? How you doing? Y'all had a great show tonight, man. Y'all were hilarious, cracking me up.
Sign the petition, Shorty.
Bro, I jumped on BCP while I was at work, and I looked down at their viewers, and it was like 4,500, and I was like, "What the fuck?" When I don't know what happened. Shorty said it was some algorithm thing, and then it just kind of dropped slowly as they kept talking about weirder and crazier shit. But the show was awesome, and I mean, hey, good on you, man. That was crazy to see y'all had that many viewers, but you guys were killing it tonight as usual. I know Mikey was a big fan of the show tonight. He kept talking about how it was the best show he's seen of them, and I thought, that's saying a lot because all their shows are good. Been a while.
Justin, I want to say we've this word has been mentioned a few times in this show. What's going on, Shorty? I did sign that petition. Thanks for sending that to me, man. The project word means a little more than it used to for me. Ben Johnson is
for this team.
He's put together a very good developmental staff here, and when I heard project guy under Matt Eberflus,
that was scary.
I had no faith.
Yeah,
no faith.
It was a scary proposition.
All I thought to myself is, this poor bastard. If he's a project player, he's going to fail here. If he went anywhere else with a quality coaching staff, he'd probably maybe develop into a quality NFL player. This team is doing a really good job with young players. They're doing a really good job at identifying positions that these players might succeed in. Project guys will do better under this coaching regime than they ever have in Chicago. So
that's
if
a good point,
you're looking at a 4th round project player, I'm okay with it.
Okay. Well, let me go to the flip side of that, because yes,
they Ruben Hippolyte.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Let me say what I'm going to say, and then you'll know what I say.
Just saying.
Which I'm fucking working on it. Shut the fuck up. This is true, 100%. I do trust the development prospects of this coaching staff much more than the previous regime and any regime before that, going back a long time. So that's a very true statement. At the same time, this team has a lot of talent. This team was a one play away from the NFC Championship, Brandon. So how many developmental, when you have so many,
Well, yeah, no, I don't want them taking in high rounds.
when you have so many holes that you need to fill with starting caliber players, how many projects are you really looking at, and where's that balance? Where do you find that balance? Like, oh, with this 4th round pick, we can take a project player because we like his upside a lot more versus this guy. If we drafted him right now, we could plug and play him in a rotational role on our team right now when we're competing for hopefully what is a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that would have been a good conversation for last night because I was kind of dogged on.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brandon.
I put in the
dogged
chat,
on.
I like Bud Clark, the safety.
Yeah.
The guy's old. He's 25,
Yeah, he's 25
fucking years old. But you know what? You want a plug and play starter?
Yeah, let me know how you did that.
25-year-old's probably not a bad way to go. You know what I mean? You want a guy he's not a project. He's fucking 25 years old. You want to plug him in as a starter? He's not going to last very long in the NFL. The guy's already kind of old, but you want a plug and play guy? Bud Clark. I think that's a plug and play guy.
Yeah, and he's a strong safety for sure. He's a thumper.
I think Thieneman is a plug and play guy. He's an extension of his defensive coordinator's mind. I don't like where he's being drafted.
Since he got mocked to the Bears at 25, people are saying a lot of what you're saying right now, Brandon. But like, I think that guy is going to be a really good safety in the NFL.
And he's going to start. He's going to start
right away. Right away. I mean, he's going to make some mistakes, obviously, but
he's got a high football IQ. He's going to start. Yeah. And Dustin, I just don't listen. I like Thieneman. I do. Thank you, J2K. I got shit. Did you watch J2K? You were there. I got shit for that. I was shit all over for that. But Thieneman, I just don't like where he's being projected. I like Thieneman.
I'd be fine with the Bears taking him at 25 with what I've seen. I would. I know a lot of Bears fans wouldn't based on what I've seen.
Oh, yeah,
but I would. I think you're getting a starting safety at 25. Yeah. That's pretty fucking good.
Thieneman's going to be drafted over Clark. I was just, if you were there last night, Chris Foster, I think
do what you got to do.
It was like appalling. It was like appalling that I suggest the Bears could use a 4th round pick on a 25-year-old safety. People were like fucking appalled.
But at the same time, Brandon, they highlighted him and talked about him for like 5 minutes. So that says something in and of itself, right?
One of the players that Jay pitched. Yeah. I mean, the guy's like a Mack truck.
Yeah, Emmanuel McNeil Warren is coming out to be that consensus next.
But he's going to go. He's going to go pretty high, isn't he?
I'm seeing. I mean, I saw him go. I saw one mock with him going 25 to the Bears, but then I've been more recent ones. He's jumping up into the teens.
Yeah, he's the second greatest safety in the draft, right? Behind Dow.
He's the second best safety in the draft by all accounts up to this point. J2K says Clark is in the top 5 of the safeties. Neither is Thieneman.
No, I just think Clark is a guy that, like, let's say, guys, you resign. Let's say you resign Byard and you go defensive line heavy in this draft early, but you would say you go DT, D end, linebacker, and you still need a starting safety because you didn't bring Brisker and Byard both back. I like Clark to plug into a starting role on an NFL team because he's a fucking smart dude and he's played a lot of football. You could be a decent starter right off the bat. Safe pick, if you want to call it that, I think.
Okay. And Caleb, and I'm not going to say your name, Chris Foster. I'm not going to say that name. He agrees with you that in the 4th round, Bud Clark would make sense. And then J2K is talking about Thieneman in like this robber type role, the hybrid linebacker safety role. That just made me think of Kyle Lewis, who went today and he impressed. And this guy,
I think Sean did a pretty good.
Sean did a great write up on him, and I've liked the kid as well. He's awesome in coverage. He's a little small to play linebacker, but they're talking about him playing the will in the NFL. But he could also transition to safety easily. In my mind, he could clearly play safety. And honestly, my question, J2K, is what's wrong with that role, especially in a Dennis Allen defense that prioritizes versatility and utilizes it well. A guy like Kyle Lewis, if the Bears were to draft him in the 3rd round, he could play that role really well for this defense, I think. And honestly, or transition full time to safety. But I think Thieneman, like those guys are important.
I looked it up, and it's
Thieneman. I think that hybrid role, that's a good thing if, if they're playing it well and you're in a defense that can take advantage of it.
Yeah, and he's just a sound player, guys. Listen, I don't love the kid at 25. I don't. I'd rather go defensive line. Thieneman is a really sound football player. He does have some range issues, but he's a coach on the field. I
I,
like hearing that stuff, man. I like listen, Ryan
Educate
Poles
says you don't draft that big nickel in the top 50, but I think he's a top 50 player in this draft,
Ryan
personally.
Poles really likes this about a player. Who is he? Not so much who is the person. So I think that's why Thieneman was projected to the Bears to begin with. I mean, by all
Yeah, Jabril
measures,
Peppers was garbage.
this guy's just a captain. He's an immediate captain on your defense. And I also when in regards to what I said about project players, Dustin,
Bear the
I do
fuck
think
down, Shorty.
I do. Let's go. Bear down, Shorty. Thanks for joining us. Great show tonight, man. And I did sign a petition. I think project players might develop a little faster
Jeffers?
with this coaching staff than they would.
I mean,
It's not a 2-3 year project anymore. I think these guys might. You saw
halfway through the season.
Colston Lovin was a project player, regardless of where he was drafted. The talent was
I don't know how
undeniable.
much of a project he was.
But he was pretty raw because he played for a team that didn't throw the fucking ball.
Yeah, but that's why the traits are what got him drafted, because you could see what he could do if he had had more opportunity. Him and Burden, obviously, they got brought along slowly, Brandon. It would be a much better comp if you would say, well, the Bears drafted Ruben Hippolyte in the 4th round, and everybody's like, what the fuck are they doing? And then halfway through the season, he was tearing shit up. Colston Loveland and Luther Burden, I think we knew were going to be studs right from the jump, but we knew it would take some time. That's a different type of development than I think the development you're talking about with a Bud Clark or a Malachi. You're not talking. I'm sorry. Bud Clark is more a plug and play, but like that Malachi Lawrence guy, like that might take more time than you have.
Or Zay Frazier.
Season you're
Zay
trying.
Frazier wasn't a starter in the NFL when he was drafted. The Bears knew that, but and Dustin, you're right. On the defensive side of the football, you can't be getting a whole lot of projects. You need starters. You need starters today.
And J2K, I'm sorry, comparing. He thinks NFL teams are comparing Thieneman to Cooper DeJean and even Worry. And I mean,
he's a freak.
I had both of those guys as top 10 talents in their respective drafts. I don't think that way about Dylan Thieneman. I don't feel that way.
You're talking about that's Caleb Downs.
I think he's a good player. I think he's a damn good player, actually, but I don't think he's on the level of either of those two guys. And yeah, if an NFL team is talking themselves into him being that, they're gonna be mistaken. I agree with that, but I still think he's gonna be a solid NFL safety and a player, and then
like a Harrison Smith type kind of guy, man. But I think Caleb Downs is the only safety in this draft that's on that level, man. The Yuri level. I mean, that kid's.
And a lot of people are putting McNeil Warren there, man. A lot of people are.
No, he's climbing. I wrote his
name, but he's
down.
Not in that same mold as those guys either. But yeah, I don't know. I was very high on both of those two players. I don't put Thieneman in that class at all. So I agree with you there. But I still think if you could get him in the late first, early second, I think that's a good value pick for what he's going to bring to your football team. I do.
Yeah. And true. Here's the thing about Hippolyte, and I've said this from day one. He is a project player.
Cooper went in the 2nd round. He did not go 26. Cooper DeJean went in the middle of the 2nd round.
Yeah, because I think the Eagles' first round pick was Arnold.
38. Cooper DeJean went 38.
Mitchell. Was it Mitchell?
Quinyon Mitchell was their 1st round pick.
Yeah.
Cooper DeJean was their 2nd round pick, and I think he went like 38.
Oh. But yeah, Hippolyte was just drafted too high. I don't have a problem with the Bears taking a chance.
Yeah, if he was a 6th round pick, it would have,
which he would have been. It was even reported.
Had they not drafted him in the 4th,
yes.
Yeah.
Some people
or undrafted. He might have been undrafted.
Yeah, there was people saying he doesn't get drafted. So, like, I just don't understand what convinced them to pull the trigger when they did. I don't dislike Hippolyte. I don't know much about him. He might be an impact player at one point on this. He's a project guy.
The jury's still out on that for sure.
You have to
plenty of time.
You have to seriously analyze where a player is projected. You have to be responsible. You don't go taking 6th round, 7th round projections in the 4th round, man. It just doesn't make sense. I don't think there was a bunch of teams that were clawing over fucking Ruben Hippolyte when the Bears took him. That's the thing.
Listen,
That's the problem I have with that.
for me, if you can get Bishop Fitzgerald in the 4th round, I like that a lot more than taking a safety in the 1st round, unless it's Emmanuel McNeil Warren if he's still there at 25. Like there's some good, and Sean did a whole breakdown on Zakay Wheatley, and he's really good, and he's going to be a middle round pick. Like there's so much. The point I was trying to make, and I was really trying to just say it about linebackers, but safeties and linebackers to me in this draft, you can get a starter in the middle rounds. So yeah, that unless you can get a stud at 25 at that safety spot, I agree with you guys. You're not touching it. I think you can get good value later in the draft at both of these positions, linebacker and safety. And I think the combine kind of showed that today. You got some really good players at the linebacker position that do a lot of different things. And some of them do all kinds of things really well. I'm very intrigued to see what I think the Bears can rebuild their linebacking core in this offseason between free agency and the draft.
And I'm with you guys. I'm with you. It seems like the general consensus here from our chat over the last couple of weeks since the offseason began is it's pass rush, pass rush, pass rush.
Watts
pass
was
rush,
gone when they took him.
pass rush, pass rush. They want a 3-tech or an edge or an end. I don't disagree with you guys. I said all offseason leading into the last season, this pass rush is bad. I was very big on that.
The defensive line needs to
vocal
be
about that.
overhauled for sure too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't, and well, even when we bring up one text, Dustin, a lot of these guys in the chat are like, no, you gotta get a pass rusher. If it's a 3-tech or an end, you gotta get a pass. I don't disagree. It's their biggest weakness. They need to be able to rush the fucking quarterback. They're playing. I will disagree. The where I will disagree with some people is Jordan Love's a good fucking football player. He's a good football player, and you
Why are we
gotta
talking about Jordan Love? Oh, just in terms of getting pressure with four down linemen. Yes, getting pressure with 4 down linemen is obviously the key to winning in the NFL. You have to do that. So, yes, the defensive line needs to be addressed. And as we've talked about, you've already spent so much capital trying to address that defensive line and missing. You're in a tough spot. So it's got to be done in the draft. At the same time, the linebacking position, as JTK is saying right here, will linebacker and safety are loaded. The middle linebacker is going to go early. So, like, DeMarco Jackson, is that a guy you're re-signing? And how much can you do that for? Because that would go a long way towards stabilizing this linebacking group going into the free agency.
And I do believe that Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson are in unison.
Best player available all day. Yes, true.
I think they're in unison on Ben Johnson wants Ryan Poles to do as much work as he can and before the draft.
So there's flexibility.
Really defines
the best player available. Yeah.
And it really defines what you absolutely need in the draft. You know what I mean? We obviously didn't, Dustin, when you were going into last year's draft, you would have thought interior offensive line. That would have been your biggest need as far as
until you traded for Tooney and Jackson.
So like you can kind of define and dictate what it is that you absolutely have to look at in the draft.
It's just you're in a different spot this year because you don't have the flexibility currently. So that's where all these restructures and cuts and trades potential. Like I said, I think Poles is going to pull something off in terms of a trade. You're going to have to cut some.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of the combine. Is the conversations Ryan Poles is having. That's what I want. That's what I want to fucking know.
I every time I get a notification from any of these platforms, I'm just like, holy shit! Is Poles making a trade? That's what I'm looking for. I'm like, did it happen yet? Because I think a trade is going to happen, and it's gonna come together at this combine. Poles is working his magic.
This is where he gets the deals done. Well, I think we beat up every segment we had in mind here, and I thought we did a pretty good job of it. Guys, obviously a lot more combine to come. We'll be covering that. I got to do some more. I guess I should probably start watching this fucking thing. I really don't like to, but
no, you don't have to, Brandon. I mean, listen.
Like I said, the Cliff Notes is good for me, man.
Yeah, but I mean, I just kind of go off of my eyes with certain things. I'll be honest. This college season of football was like the least invested I've been in college football in a long time. It seems like as time goes on, I just have less time for this shit on especially on Saturdays, man, with work and like I got a 9-month-old baby. Like it's just that time is like work. I get out of work as early as I can, and then it's family. Like I'm doing family shit. So like the college football season got away from me this year.
I have them on always on Saturdays. If I'm home, I've got it on. I'm not hyper focused on it, man. Like I am with Bears.
watching them move through certain drills, you do get something out of it. And like I said, the effort is the main thing. Yeah, but it's just glorified bullshit. And like I said, if they just stop doing the combine altogether, I think that would be fine. I don't think it helps or hurts a
J2K,
lot of people for
I
sure.
have no inclination.
But you do see risers and fallers come out of this thing, and we got to keep talking about it. And I thought today was important because these are those were three position groups that went today that are hugely important to this Bears offseason: linebacker, defensive tackle, and then the edge. The Bears need one of all three of those things in this draft. The Bears have to come away from this draft, and I mean we can say that, but like you're gonna go best player available, right? And like that is what it is. But like I really feel strongly that the Bears need to impact linebacker, defensive tackle, and edge in this draft, and I think a lot of you Bears fans do. And this was important today, and I just think it showed that there is a lot of depth there at all of those spots, and there's some good options for the Bears at 25, at 57, at 89 in the third round. I mean, the Bears are going to have to impact these places. These
not only did the Bears absolutely need one of all of these positions, it's a deep class. It's a deep class on this side of the ball, especially guys like we talked about: safety, linebacker, edge, tackles. This you can get some quality players, and you don't got to take them. You don't got to be reaching for anybody here. You can kind of Poles can sit back and relax a little bit and know that there's some quality talent that's going to be there in the third and the fourth. So
I gotta acknowledge Chris Foster because his trolling is at an all-time high today. He has asked if there's a Caleb Williams trade happening, it's in the works, and he has said, "Let's go Indiana Bears." he's really on top of his game today with that said trolling. Thanks for joining us, man.
I mean, if they're the Indiana Bears, Chris Foster's gonna root for him anyways.
At least 3 starters, Phil, from this draft. I haven't called him Caleb yet. Well, you just did. You basically just did. See, you're just on fire today. You're on fire today. Troll game is tight. Brandon, it's been a lot of fun, man. Like you said, combine going on. We'll be back on Monday with the House Hall Hangover. If you didn't catch the show last night, the Barely There podcast, they dive deep into the safeties. If you're not catching Sean's posts on these draft write-ups, you're doing yourself a disservice because they're really fucking good. And you're getting a lot of good info. And he's
Sean gives me the majority of my intel.
He's really diving deep into scheme fit within the Bears defense. Mostly, it's all defense. You know, that's what everybody's focused on. And it's good shit. So if 4 stars, chicagosports.com, they'll be on there. They're all over Facebook from the 4 stars account. Make sure you guys are checking those out. That's must read shit. Monday, House Hall Hangover. Wednesday, Barely There. Thursday, we got the bare minimum. And I guess the guys are doing the
Sunday
on Sunday at 7. Change up the time. You have a good night as well, J2K. We are 4 Star Chicago Sports. This has been the bare minimum. Brandon, it's been a blast, man.
Bear down. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Bear the fuck down. Have a great night. Love you.